to two of the finest wide receivers in football. James Lofton right there, and the other deep threat, John Jefferson. They are the core of the Packers' attack, but they will be challenged by a strong Dallas secondary that has a habit of coming up with the big plays at the right time.
The man who directs the Packer offense is a battered veteran of the NFL wars. Lynn Dickey has finally come into his own as one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I'll be taking a look at Dickey and the Free Spirits who've been on the receiving end of his game-winning passes this season.
But in order to make contact with this free spirit, Dickey will need time to set up. And the Doomsday guys are the guys who make the strong Cowboy pass rush are determined to be in his face all afternoon. I'll be looking at that trench warfare in today's game between the Dallas front four and the offensive line of Green Bay, and Phyllis has her Dallas blue on.
Just a coincidence, Jimmy. The Dallas Cowboys, of course, have a tradition of great quarterbacks dating back to the early years of their franchise, and Danny White is taking his place in that gallery of heroes. In fact, the big D in Dallas these days is not just the city, but the man, their own favorite Danny Boy. Our coverage of the battle for the trip to Washington and next week's championship game begins here, and we've got it all on the NFL Today.
Today is sponsored by the 1983 Volkswagens. Nothing else is a Volkswagen. And by True Value Hardware Stores. True Value, more than just a name. It's our way of doing business. And now, Brent Musburger.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the NFL Today. You know, it is rare when two good friends square off for as much as at stake today. But that is the case with Bart Starr on the left, the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, and of course his Dallas counterpart, Tom Landry. They are the closest of friends, and prior to the start of this game, they met at midfield just a short time ago. They had a long conversation, but they were not exchanging game plans. Meanwhile, if you live by the forward pass, you are destined to die by the forward pass, and that happened today to the San Diego Chargers. Danny Fouts has thrown 5 interceptions. Miami will win and take on the New York Jets next Sunday for the championship of the AFC. 34-13, that pass right there made it 21-0. And it is now over, and Don Shula has gone back to the championship. He will be taking on a New York Jet team that he has beaten twice already this year. And of course, that is next weekend. Ooh, Jimmy.
Ooh.
What a game that's going to be. Sure, he did beat him twice this year, but the last one was a barn burner. If you remember, Walt beat him 6 times in a row before that. It's going to be a very physical game. Both teams are very physical. Miami will be a home team favorite and nothing more.
I have a question for both of you. With Washington having the home field advantage, do you think they'd fare better against the Packers or the Cowboys?
Who's first?
Go ahead, you.
Well, they'd fare better against Green Bay because they have a better defense and they match up better against Green Bay. They would beat Green Bay easy, where with Dallas, they psych a little bit and they don't seem to play as well against the Cowboys.
Now, what about that psychological effect?
See, I disagree with Jimmy on a couple of levels. I really don't think they'd beat Green Bay easily. I think Green Bay would have a lot for them. But I really think that the Dallas Cowboys would bring out the best in the Washington Redskins. It seems every time I hear Joe Theismann or any of the Redskins, they're saying, we want Dallas. We want Dallas, and they're dead serious. They've done everything this year except beat the Cowboys, right?
That's right.
Well, the man down in Dallas on the sidelines having all the good times on the road down there. How about that? Irv, what's the situation down there?
You know, Brent, the Green Bay Packers are not the same Green Bay Packers we know of old. You have an explosive passing attack, which everybody's aware of. But keep this in mind as well, too. It's about 59 degrees here right now at Texas Stadium, and a fairly warm day. But the Packers have a brand new practice facility up in Green Bay, which allows them to work out indoors on an artificial surface. They were there all week this week, working at a temperature of 57 degrees. So they're right at home in this ballpark. Of course, they have to beat the Dallas Cowboys. In order to do that, you have to stop their running game, and you start by stopping Tony Dorsett. They hope to try to gang tackle him by having the first guy hit him low. Let's go up to Pat and John.
Irv, thank you very much. You know, you talk about all the great athletes in this game on both sides. It's hard to pinpoint one particular point that we think would be the deciding point. What do you think, John?
You know, it'll probably happen. You know, you talk about the wide receivers are going to throw the ball. Tony Dorsett's going to run. And it'll probably be some backup defensive back, and he'll intercept a pass in the end zone or fall on a fumble, and that's probably be the hero. They'll carry him off the field.
Both offensive units, both quarterbacks certainly seem to have a pretty good idea of what they feel that they have to accomplish. We asked both quarterbacks, Len Dickey and Danny White, what they feel they have to do.
I'd say the major thing that we're going to have to do is get some kind of a running game. If we can keep them off balance with some kind of a running game, keep them in the run-pass threat, then I think we'll be very effective. If we can't do that, we may be in for a long day.
The thing that we can't do that we did last week is give the ball up with turnovers. We've got to control the ball, hold on to it, and when we get down there, we've got to score points and get the ball in the end zone. Last week, we ended up kicking field goals 3 times when we really probably should have gotten the ball in the end zone, and we need to do that this week.
Both of those two things sound like pretty good ideas.
Well, you know what they were both talking about? They're putting a lot of pressure on those offensive lines, especially the offensive line of the Green Bay Packers.
Should be a dandy. Now let's go back to Brent Westberger.
All right, Pat and John, thank you. And I should point out that earlier in a conversation with him, they reported that John Dutton, the defensive lineman for the Dallas Cowboys, is very questionable. He may be able to go, but not as a starter. The same holds for running back Ron Springs. Robert Newhouse will step into the Cowboys starting lineup. We'll continue with Jimmy the Greek on the NFL Today in just a moment. Texas Stadium, where the Dallas Cowboys have lost a couple of times this year to the Pittsburgh Steelers and to the Philadelphia Eagles. But, Jimmy, I'll tell you what, the Packers will have to turn in a great game to beat them there today.
No question about it. Any quarterback is only as good as his blockers, the men up front. Len Dickey knows how true that is. If the Packers are to win today, they will have to stop the great Palace pass rush. And that's a tall order, maybe just a little too tall. Forget about the glamour boy passers and runners. Today's playoff game is going to the team that excels in the hand-to-hand combat along the line of scrimmage. For the Green Bay Packers, survival is a matter of holding off doomsday. This is the doomsday defense. Their object is to seek out and destroy Len Dickey, the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. But if they give Dickey time to pass, you'll see an aerial circus in Texas Stadium like there's never been before. Dickey can detonate James Lofton, or he can pull the fuse on Johnny Jefferson. Now, these are the scenes Dallas cornerback Everson Walls sees in his worst nightmares.
I need to talk to Ed and Harvey and the guys and see just exactly what's on their minds, because we don't want Dickey to just stand back there and have a go at it.
But the Packers have other ideas.
4-3, set! Here! Get out! Now move him! Stay on him, keep it up!
If we can keep them away from Lynn, we can light up that scoreboard.
I think if we can give Lynn some time, I think the secondary of Dallas is going to have a long afternoon.
Oh, there's the possibility of it being a long afternoon.
We're going to gear ourselves up, and I'm sure that when we hit the field Sunday, we're going to be after Len Dickey.
And when the Cowboys start corralling quarterbacks, few passers can escape the lasso. Randy White and Too Tall Jones are headed for the Pro Bowl, and it's no secret why. But are the Packers overwhelmed? Hey, they don't seem to be.
In no way are we in awe of the Dallas Cowboys. They have an excellent front four, and that is their strength of their defense.
They're a good, consistent unit. I don't think they're the best front four in the league, and I don't think they're the best pass rushing front four in the league.
He has his own thoughts. I got mine, and we'll just see Sunday.
That was a real love tap that Randy White gave you coming in there, Greg.
You know something? I want to tell you something about Randy White. He is so peeved at some of the publicity that he's had so far. He's going to play a Super Bowl.
Has he had that bad a season?
Well, it hasn't been as great as it was before. You know, he's been all-pro, all-pro, all-pro.
Then he shouldn't be mad at the critics. He should get mad at himself. Play harder.
He is.
All right, let's take a look at the game, Jimmy. How do you analyze this one?
Pressure. This is the whole thing. $70,000 is up there to the winner, okay? Consequently, the Dallas Cowboys are a little bit richer, and they may take this pressure a little bit better. The pressure's going to be on Starr. No question about it. Both teams will try to establish a running game, and I think one thing will happen. Landry will be the difference in the pressure.
And the Cowboys will come through in the end, you think?
In a
But Jimmy,
high-scoring game, though.
is this Cowboy team as good as Landry's recent ball clubs?
No. Danny White is not a Roger Staubach. Let's start with that one right there, and it ends right there.
All right, Jimmy. And the NFL Today continues on CBS in just a moment.
Quarterback, Lynn Dickey's life this season has been a rich and happy feast. Like a kid in a candy store, he has so many goodies to choose from, you can hardly know which one is going to catch his eye. And that's been a real problem for Green Bay's opponents all season.
When you think of the Green Bay Packers, you think of the graceful heroics of James Lofton, the exuberance of the irrepressible John Jefferson, and the gutty determination of tight end Paul Kaufman. Almost unnoticed is Lynn Dickey, an immobile, battered old warhorse, better known for his injuries than his invincible passing. He is the man in command of the Packer offense, and after 12 years in the NFL, he's mellowed a little, but not much.
I don't scream and yell as much as I used to, because I can't find my cheek pad helmets when I throw my helmet against the bench and the cheek pads go flying 20 yards away, and they say, "All right, offense, get in there," you know. So I don't do that as much as I used to, but I think I fit more into that category where if somebody is not doing their job, I think it's my job to jump down his throat, and I'm not out there for a popularity contest.
It wouldn't be much of a contest, because on the end of a Lynn Dickey pass, you'll generally find one of the most flamboyant receivers in the NFL. One of the wackiest guys is number 82, Paul Kaufman, best known at his Kansas high school for failing his tractor driving test. His tidiness and table manners earned him the nickname Hog.
We would just go through the lunch line and pile the food on our trays and just act like a bunch of hogs. And matter of fact, if I could just show you my T-shirt here. As you can see, hog is not just a name, it's a way of life.
In sleek contrast to the hog and his tractor is number 80, James Lofton, more of the Jaguar type.
I always like to think of myself as a subtle elegance, not overstated, not understated, but, you know, pretty contemporary. And I think the type of receiver I am fits into the game very well today, and I think my personality and my lifestyle blend into today's living.
There's a lot of character in those characters, and Lynn Dickey has total confidence in all of them.
I'm the type of guy who doesn't get caught up in the, oh no, here comes the big pass rush. I block those kind of things out of my mind. I know one of my guys is going to get open. These guys are just intelligent people. They know what life's about. They know how to play the game. They got good football savvy.
Dallas-born John Jefferson showed his savvy with 2 scores last week, and he plans a big homecoming today.
Are we going to Dallas? I'm coming home. Cowboys, I'm coming home.
Expect a high-scoring game. Coach Landy says this is going to be a real shootout, but keep an eye on Doug Cosby, the Cowboys tight end. He should see a lot of action today.
There, thank you. The NFL Today continues on CBS in just a moment.
3 years ago, when Roger Staubach retired as the Dallas Cowboy quarterback, the torch was passed to Danny White, who was finally coming into his inheritance, and in more ways than one. Like other Cowboy quarterbacks, Danny's discovered the payoff on the field can lead to big paydays in other areas. In Dallas, the sports hero in the 60s was an irreverent Don Meredith.
It was really a screwed up looking thing. I didn't even know what to, yeah, I think they did. I think they missed it because I didn't know what to audible.
In the 70s, Roger Staubach thrilled Cowboy fans.
Staubach going deep for Tony Hill, who's all alone. Caught, touchdown.
Going down, baby. We are going to the Super Bowl. We can beat anything coming our way.
And now in the 80s, Danny White is on his way to attaining the same level of success as Meredith and Staubach.
It's true that as a Dallas Cowboy quarterback, I have a tremendous heritage to live up to, but not because of what Roger did.
I want to someday be able to walk up to him and say, I'm a better quarterback than you ever were, Raj. And I've got a long ways to go, but I'm working on it.
Dallas, Texas. It's a city where people do things with style. Thank you. Have lots of power and tons of money. And if you play your cards right, being quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys can provide you with all these opportunities. And like the quarterbacks who preceded him, Danny White appears to have the right stuff.
Hey, you drinking Lipton tea?
Wouldn't drink nothing else.
Me neither. Lipton's
The
got
right
that special
stuff from his
quality
Cowboy
blend
years
in each
helped Meredith in gaining recognition as a commercial spokesman and broadcaster.
Rolaids really does spell relief.
The right stuff has helped Staubach pose burning questions.
How do you spell relief? I spell relief.
And already, the Cowboy quarterback mystique is paying off in numerous endorsements for Danny White.
Well, you know, Danny's is what I would call an entrepreneur. There's a difference between an entrepreneur and a capitalist. And you know that an entrepreneur is a person who doesn't have any money, he thinks he does, and a capitalist does. I would call Danny White a capitalist.
Isn't there a certain power that goes along with being a Dallas Cowboy? You all are so successful and popular, and that works to your advantage.
Well, as the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, you have a lot of opportunities, business-wise. And probably the most important thing I've learned is that nothing in this life is free.
On occasion, Danny gets deeply involved in his interest in a boat company and in oil exploration. He succeeded in earning almost as much off the field as on it.
Bottom line is, as long as you produce, things are going to be okay. And that's why my priorities are such that I go out and I play football and I do the very best that I can. I'm not going to get rich overnight, but I don't need to get rich overnight. I'm very happy the way things are going financially right now.
This year, White's performance has earned him a Pro Bowl selection. But although his financial future is secure, an unfulfilled ambition spurs him on.
The quarterback has got to be a take-charge type of player. And through being successful, I think I've come to realize that by golly, I'm a pretty good quarterback, and I've got the ability to take this team to the Super Bowl.
Brent, some say as a quarterback that Danny lacks the, the charisma of a Staubach or a Meredith, but there's no question that his intensity and his desire is there to win that Super Bowl ring, especially this year more than any other year.
The NFL Today will continue on CBS in just a moment. Before we go to the game, a couple of honors for Phyllis and Jimmy. They don't know I'm going to mention this, but I know that Jimmy tomorrow night is going to be honored here in New York City by the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And Jimmy, congratulations. I know all the time you have spent with that group. And Phyllis, of course, you are to go to New York here soon. And a late dear friend of mine, Jack Quinlan, he was a great baseball broadcaster, and they have an honor in his name, and of course you have won it for your work last year. Congratulations. You're going to Chicago February 11th, I believe.
Hope you can both be there.
Nice going, you two. And if we have a great game today, that'll wrap up a tremendous afternoon and a marvelous weekend.
It'll be a great game.
Okay. Coming up next, it'll be the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. I'm Brent Musburger. At halftime, we will take a look at the New York Jets and, of course, their victory out in Los Angeles over the Raiders. And we will also take a look at how the Miami Dolphins have advanced to the AFC Championship by eliminating the San Diego Chargers. And that game wound up just a short time ago. But now sit back because you'll gaze upon Texas Stadium, where along about now the players are being introduced and they are trotting out onto the field. And it is just about kickoff time in Big D. So long, everybody.
Baseball game in Green Bay 16 years ago. It's the Packers and the Cowboys in a playoff game. Bart Starr was then the Green Bay quarterback, and the great Vince Lombardi was the Packer coach. On the last play of the game, Starr, behind a devastating block by Jerry Kramer, put the Pack into the end zone, and they beat Dallas 21-17. Packers went on to win Super Bowl #2 over Oakland. Some of the names remain the same. Bart Starr, of course, is now the Green Bay head coach, and Tom Landry is, as he was then, the leader of the Cowboys. Green Bay has 3 outstanding receivers: Kaufman, the tight end, James Lofton wide on one side, and John Jefferson on the other. Last week against St. Louis, Jefferson caught 2 touchdown passes. All 3 of those receivers are headed for the Pro Bowl. But the key to the Packers' success today against Dallas is how well they protect their quarterback, Lynn Dickey, who is coming off his best year ever. He threw for 4 touchdowns against St. Louis last week. The Cowboy receiving core is equally impressive. Doug Cosby is the tight end. Tony Hill, one of the wide receivers. And Drew Pearson, the other. This pass from Danny White to Pearson last week against Tampa is vintage Drew Pearson. So get set for a load of fireworks as the Packers face the Cowboys in round 2 of the playoffs.
The Green Bay Packers against the Dallas Cowboys.
Texas Stadium is jam-packed and a most enthusiastic crowd, as you would expect, as we move into round 2 of the playoffs. Not an empty seat anywhere on what has turned out to be just a perfect day for football. Good afternoon. I'm Pat Summerall. Second round of the playoffs. The Cowboys have been in the playoffs 16 out of the last 17 years. The Packers haven't been here since 1972 in the playoff setting. How important is that? Let's ask a guy who knows a lot about it, who's been there himself, my colleague John Madden.
I think it really favors Dallas. You know, they've been there, they know what it is, and in the NFL, the real excitement, the real football is at playoff time. I love this type of time, and you know, the fans love it. They've been going crazy here today. The Dallas Cowboys named their fans as honorary captains. I think they're taking a job seriously. They may try and get down for the flip.
They were wild last week here against Tampa Bay. What about key matchups today, John?
Well, you know, there's a lot about the receivers and so on, but I always like that line play. You know, John Dutton is out. He won't play today. Don Smirrick is taking his place, so that'll be a test. Don Smirrick's a tough guy. The other question is Too Tall Jones. He injured his knee last week, and he's going to test it for the first time today. And he'll be testing it against this Green Bay offensive line. They have their job cut out for them, both run-wise and pass protection. There'll be some great matchups, a lot of stuff down on that field.
One of the very best ever to kick it will kick off for Green Bay, the veteran Jan Stenerud. And back deep for Dallas, number 27, Ron Fellows. And alongside him, Timmy Newsom. Playoff time. You can feel it. Stenerud, a high kick to Fellows at the 4. Fellows out of the pack outside the 22-yard line. Mark Murphy down to knock him down. Let's check the lineup. On offense, that's the way they operate. White, Dorsett, Newhouse. In place of Ron Springs and Tony Hill and Drew Pearson, the wide receivers. Up front, it's Cosby, Donovan, Scott Rafferty, Kurt Peterson, and Jim Cooper. Danny White. Of course, he does not call the plays himself. He just repeats what Tom Landry sends in. Newhouse, the fullback, and Dorsett, the other runner. On first down, blitz is on by Green Bay, intended for Dorsett. It spun right through his hands. George Cumbie out there in good coverage. The Green Bay defense, it's a 3-man front. Butler, Jones, and Ezra Johnson, the ends. The linebackers, and it's a good core. Anderson, Scott Cumbie, and Mike Douglas. And the secondary, Lee, McCoy, Johnny Gray, and Harvey. Pass incomplete. It'll be 2nd and 10. The ball at the 23-yard line. The Dallas crowd already alive. Tony Hill. Get out wide, and this is Dorsett. Packers in good shape. No gain. Up quickly is John Anderson.
Talking about people that are excited. Look at that Packer defense. You know, one thing about that defense, they aren't a big defense. They don't have big guys in there. They play the 3-man line, and as Bart Starr said, they're a movement defense. They don't take things on. They have to get everyone to the ball, and they really swarm that 2nd down run.
Lost a yard, as a matter of fact. So make it 3rd down and 11. Tom Landry on the other side of the field in front of the Dallas bench. Timmy Newsom, one of the backs now. Out of the shotgun goes Danny White. Cosby stays in the block. Down the middle, Tony Hill. Stopped by Johnny Gray, but it's a Dallas first down. 15-yard pickup.
That was an interesting play. The Packers had Hill double teamed. They have him double covered here. They have 5 defensive backs. See, they get a bump there. The second man comes in right here, and Tony Hill beat both of them. Danny White found him between the two defensive backs. So they beat double coverage on third down.
It seems, or at least it looked in warm-up and then, that Danny White's thumb is completely healed.
Well, he told us yesterday that it was.
Newsome now, the tandem back with Dorsett as White's going to throw on first down. He has Timmy Newsome. Newsome out to about the 44-yard line, knocked down by John Anderson and Randy Scott.
We're going to see a lot more of Timmy Newsome today. We know Ron Springs, the regular starting fullback for the Cowboys, is out. He won't play today. So Robert Newhouse started, but Newsome is also going to play some fullback. He's been a tailback all this year.
He is an excellent receiver, although he's only caught that many passes this year. When he's been used, when he's been called on, he's been very effective. 2nd and 3, Newhouse is back in now. To Newhouse close to first down yardage. Randy Scott, the first Packer to hit him. I don't think he quite made it, but he's close.
Newhouse is something. He's about 5'9", 220 pounds, and it's all there below the waist. Look at the size of those legs. He has trouble buying pants, I bet. Look at that power.
I bet he does.
You know, that's where people's power comes from, below the waist. You know, and that's what they always have to develop. You like that in big offensive linemen and so on. You also like that in your fullback. That's hard to tackle, that stuff.
Enough power to get a Dallas first down. Line of scrimmage now. The Dallas 48-yard line. 1st and 10. Both times on first down. Danny White has dropped the throw. Tony Hill split out wide to the left. Cosby goes in motion. Penalty marker down as Dorsett cuts back. Hit at the line of scrimmage. He wouldn't have gotten much, but the play really never was a play.
That was one of those plays that the whistle blew before the play started, or as it started. It's probably too much time. They didn't get it off in the 30 seconds or had some type of illegal motion.
I think it was too much time.
They've had problems with that over the years, the Cowboys.
Delay of game offense.
Thank you, Gene.
As you see, Gene Barth is the referee. Art Demas is the umpire. And we'll get to the rest of them in just a minute. It's 1st and 15 in the first quarter at Texas Stadium. Dallas has ripped off 2 first downs, and it's 1st and 15 after that walk-off against them. White back to throw on first down again. Outside screen pass Dorsett. And the Packers read it very well. Mike Douglas up to make the first contact. Screen pass that was rather slow developing.
There is an active guy, number 53, Mike Douglas. You know, when he came out, he was only about 6 foot and he weighed about 210 pounds, but he's a good tackler. Last week, it said it right there, last week he had 10 unassisted tackles. Now that's getting around that gridiron.
He is still, as far as linebackers go these days, not that big.
No, he's not. And the guy that plays next to him, George Cumby, is also under 215 pounds.
2nd and 14. One running back, and it's Dorsett. Dorsett gets around the corner, almost gets away. John Anderson, it's a hand on the back of his jersey. Dorsett got about 5. It'll still be long yardage.
You know, it was interesting. Last year, every team in the playoffs that scored first won the game. This year, it's not the same. It really doesn't mean as much. I think it's about even. Like 6 teams in the playoffs that scored first have won the game. 5 teams have won that haven't scored first.
There's what John was talking about. It'll be 3rd down and 9 at the 49. Passing down coming as White goes into the shotgun formation. Green Bay comes on the blitz. He has to throw in a hurry. He does. Tony Hill, first down. White is down. White really took a shot. 10-yard gain, enough for the first down.
That was that sub-defense of the Green Bay Packers. They had their 5 defensive backs in, 4 linemen, and they blitzed one of their defensive backs. I watched Danny White. We see a stun in the line. The defensive back hit him just as he threw the ball. I think it was Johnny Gray, the strong safety.
It was Johnny Gray.
Right there, right after he threw the ball, he really took a shot.
Danny White doesn't look like a tough guy, but he really is.
His eyes look tough.
Yes.
Steal.
Brown steal. 1st and 10. from the Green Bay 41. Here's Dorsett looking, finding some room, picking his way. First down, Dallas. Johnny Gray again on the stop. 11-yard gain by Tony Dorsett.
You know, Tony Dorsett is one of those not big guys that can be effective running inside because he has the quickness. Watch, he starts to the right. Watch that cutback right there off the nose. And then this other cutback right there. That's the old double cutback, and he picked up good yardage. Well, a lot of tailbacks don't run inside. They like to get them outside. But Dorsett is one that can be as effective running inside as he is outside.
And you saw one of the reasons why, that great ability he has to change direction so quickly. That double cutback. This is a single cutback this time. To the 25. John Anderson on the stop. Dorsett got about 6. And gets up slowly, if he does. He's asking for help from the sideline and trots in that direction. Out comes Newsome and Newhouse. Now, Newsome will go to the tailback spot, and Newhouse will be the fullback. As Dorsett comes over, might have gotten a finger in the eye or something like that.
The same thing happened to him last week. Remember against Tampa Bay, he came out, he had a finger in the eye.
They're at the Packer 24.5-yard line, second down 4. 11th play of this drive, which started back at the 23. Pearson in motion this time. White, under pressure, finally gets rid of it, completes it to Cosby. But they say he was in the grasp of the Green Bay defenders, and they'll bring it back.
That's one of the rules that the fans really don't like when it's their quarterback. We were talking about Mike Douglas earlier. Watch him. He's blitzing or coming from the right side. And we see him. He has Danny White in the grasp. You see the grasp there? Just below the waist. The referee, right behind the quarterback, blew the whistle.
Terry Jones is number 63, the Packer nose tackle, who's done such a good job, not very big. As John Madden was saying a minute ago, his place has been taken by Richard Turner, who is bigger. Now they go with 4 down linemen, Green Bay does, as Dallas goes from the shotgun. And White thought Butch Johnson was going to the outside, and he went to the inside. But Marvin Knight over with Tony Dorsett. Doesn't appear that he's severely injured. Raphael Septien trots off the bench. This is going to be about a 50-yard attempt. He's been kicking extremely well.
I saw him in the training room yesterday. He was getting treatment on his right leg, and I asked him about it. He said, that's bionic. He said, my leg's bionic. I'm just getting it charged up. I don't know. We'll see.
Let's see if it's charged enough. Toronto holds. It'll be from 50 yards. Yes, sir. 50 yards out for Raphael Septien.
Look at that, he puts both fists up. Man, I did it. That bionic machine works. Good stuff in that machine.
So with 8:17 left to go in the first quarter, Dallas breaks on top. It's 3-0 Cowboys. 50-yard field goal by Raphael Septien is a new Cowboy playoff record. It's also his 12th in a row in playoffs. The old record was his, too. 48 yards. That's a new one.
He had the smile in the eye, didn't he? Not on the face, but in the eyes.
3-0. Dallas, and Septien kicks off. Good kick. Del Rogers, 2 yards deep in the end zone, comes whirling out. Rogers still on his feet. Fumble!
Looks like they're going to give it to Green Bay. I think the officials must be saying that the ball was dead before he fumbled. Nope, they give it to the Cowboys.
Jeff Rohr came up with the ball.
Watch it here. See it right here. He breaks the tackle. Now he gets hit, and we see right there the ball is stripped just as he was going down, and he didn't have control of it when he went to the ground.
It was Monty Hunter who made the hit that took the ball loose. One of the heroes of last week's victory over Tampa.
Big game Hunter.
From the 28, first and 10, 8:05 left to play first quarter. White asking for quiet. Newhouse cuts back, gets to the 25. Randy Scott tripped him up. Medical help for linebacker Danny Spradlin, who plays so well on the special teams. Massaging his neck a little bit. He has a 19-inch neck.
They take a couple guys to massage that.
Newhouse just run out. There's one lone setback.
I got this side, you got that side.
There are two tight ends. Dupree on this side, Cosby on the other side. And off is to Tony Dorsett. Breaks one tackle, gets inside the 20. He may have a Dallas first down. I think he does. Ezra Johnson made the stop.
Let's watch it again. Here we'll see Douglas, number 53. He starts to the outside, sees the run, comes back in, and you have to get more than one arm or one hand on Tony Dorsett. He runs right through that tackle.
You were talking before about Newhouse and that great leg strength that he has. Dorsett must have it too, because he's not that big.
No, I'll tell you, he's a powerful guy. You know, he's not that big. He only weighs about 190 pounds, but he really has a lot of power.
He got enough for the first down. Line of scrimmage, the Green Bay 18, 7:09 left to play first quarter. Andy White, the quarterback. Dallas still hasn't been on defense. And, of course, the Packers haven't been on offense. White to throw. It's to Newsom. Newsom breaks the tackle. Newsom down to the 12. Cliff Lewis is the Packer who made the stop.
It's one of the things that the Cowboys like to do when they have Newsom in there is throw the ball to him. We're going to see it's just a little outlet pass here. He'll throw it out here to the right. Maurice Harvey, number 23, comes in right here. He misses. Newsom, again, picks up about 4 more yards after the missed tackle.
It'll be 2nd and 4. Cowboys at the Packer 12, trying to add to their 3-0 lead. Dorsett. Randy Scott with a sure tackle and a good play.
You always have to pick up in the 3-man line. You have to pick up that inside linebacker. Watch 55 right here in the right of the screen. You see the guard blocks down on the center. That gives him a hole to run through. So he gets that penetration and gets Dorsett before he can turn upfield.
Randy Scott, a 2-year pro from Alabama. Looked as if Donovan was assigned to block him, and he just overshot it. From the shotgun now. 3rd and 8. This is the kind of thing that Danny White said they didn't want to do. That's the kind of thing they do want to do. Oh, Cosby was open. Had it and dropped it.
Landry's looking for a play there, but it's a field goal play, Tom. You know, it's interesting, before the game, we had Danny White on, and he was saying that this week we want to get down there and score. Last week we got down against Tampa Bay 4 times and had to settle for field goals, and that's the way they're starting again today.
And Septien will try from 34 yards out. This time he's hit from 50. Runo holding. Septien is good again. With 5 minutes and 11 seconds left to play in the first quarter at Texas Stadium, it is Dallas 6, Green Bay nothing. Texas Stadium, where the Cowboys lead the Green Bay Packers 6-0. 2 field goals by Raphael Septien. One of 50 yards, one of 34 yards. And he's about to kick off right now. Dale Rogers back deep for Green Bay again. Shorter kick. Rogers at the 7. Holds on this time, gets out to about the 28, and now we'll have our first look at the Green Bay offensive unit. Len Dickey, the quarterback. Eddie Lee Ivory, one of the runners. Gary Ellis, the other. James Lofton and John Jefferson, the wide receiver. Tight end is Paul Kaufman, Stokes, Huffman, McCarron, Harris, and Greg Cook up front. And we'll set the Dallas defense for you in just a minute. Len Dickey, who has gone through some tough times injury-wise and come back to have an outstanding year. Will throw on first down. The Cowboys come after him. It's Ellis shaking away from people, and the defense converges quickly. Guy Brown finally put the hit on him. Let's look at the Dallas defense now. Up front, it's a 4-man front. Ed Jones, Don Smerick in place of John Dutton, Randy White, and Harvey Martin. And the linebackers, Hegman, Bruning, Brown. Everson Walls, Dennis Thurman, the corners, Benny Barnes, and Michael Downs, the safety. We have an injured Cowboy down. It's Guy Brown, number 59. 4:49 left to play in the first quarter. 6-0 Dallas. Dallas has had the ball over 9.5 minutes. Green Bay 34 seconds. Dallas leads 6-0. There's Guy Brown. Anthony Dickerson has replaced him, number 51. Second down, 13. From the Packer 26, Dickey a long count. Hand off to Ellis. And he is hurled back by Smerick.
Smerick made that play. I'll tell you, an interesting thing, Tim Huffman was blocking against Randy White, and he really did a great job of man blocking. Let's watch a left guard right there, 74. Watch him take Randy White. He takes him right out of the play. Of course, Don Smerick comes in and makes the tackle, though.
With help from Benny Barnes, who hit and bounced, and then came back for another hit. 3rd and 10, and this is one of those dangerous situations. Lofton was the man in motion. Dickey steps up in the pocket, has the ball deflected. Not intercepted. It was intended for Lofton, but Dickey had no chance. Randy White and Harvey Martin put the pressure on.
And that's going to be a big key. Being able to handle that defense. You know, Randy White put the pressure on Pat. He came from a linebacker position. Randy White didn't line up on the line of scrimmage. He lined up as an inside linebacker and rushed from that position. That's the first time I've seen him do that.
One of the things that Bart Starr was saying that concerned him so much is they come at you, yes, but there's so many different ways they come at you. Low line drive kick by Stakowicz. Fellows heads back up, gets to the 39.
Let's watch the defensive play now. Right here to the left of the center. See, there's Randy White, 54. You see him, he comes from a linebacker position, also a stunt. Right there, he put a little pressure, and Too Tall came from the outside.
Penalty markers down on that last punt return. First time we've seen him come from linebacker spot. I've seen him move to the other side once or twice, but not from deep like that.
No, I've never seen him come from that position.
Illegal block in the back, number 73 on the run back. First down.
Back to the illegal blocks in the back again.
Oh, yeah. Most punts, you have that one.
Bart Starr must have some really solid memories about those two games that these two teams played back in the 60s. 6-0 Dallas. A little meeting with the offensive line over on the Packer bench. That's one of the best offensive tackles ever to play right there, the coach, Ernie McMillan.
Ernie McMillan, his linemen are probably telling him that, hey, Randy White's playing linebacker sometimes. That comes from everywhere.
Dorsett is the lone setback. Line of scrimmage, the Dallas 26. Cosby was in motion. Here's White on first down outside to Dorsett. And up quickly in good shape, Mike Douglas. And he showed you right there with that open field tackle against one of the best runners around, Dorsett, why he has gotten so many accolades.
I think with all the passing in the league that the play is going to be linebackers like Mike Douglas. I think they're going to be the linebackers of the future. The type of player that's maybe not as big and as strong, but has the quickness, can play pass defense like this, can open field tackle, which is a big thing. You don't get those big strong guys out there, but when you can open field tackle against a Dorsett, that's not bad.
He looks like he could be a defensive back. Here's Dorsett around the corner. Shy of the first down, it's George Cumbie this time, another one, who is out of that same mold.
And they play side by side, and they're all over the field. But what Dorsett did on that play is he started, watch, he'll start to the right, and then he bounces it out to the left. Now watch him here. He'll start like it's an inside run to the right, see? That draws the defense in, then holds those linebackers, then he outruns them to the opposite side until George Cumbie gets there.
Dallas just put in a new offensive tackle. Derek, who is another one of those that looks out through the roof of this building. Newhouse trying to go for the first down. I don't think he got it. Look, he's about a half yard short.
That's a tough thing. They just put in Phil Pozderac, a rookie. In a short yardage situation, you would think that maybe they would go to the right side to the guy who's been in there. They put in a guy and then they run right behind him. That's tough for the first play you're in there.
He's one of those, excuse me, he's one of those that's a lot better than they thought he was going to be. Here's Danny White. He has punted one time already. Johnny Gray back deep. For the fair catch, goes out of bounds at the 32-yard line where the Packers will take over. The Cowboys have had some chances and they lead 6-0, but they could be further ahead. 6-0. Texas Stadium scores 6-0. Dallas over Green Bay. Pat Summerall with John Madden. First quarter has 1 minute and 21 seconds left. Crowd coming alive and encouraging that defense again. Lynn Dickey, the quarterback. Hoffman was the man in motion. Dickey under fire, and down he goes. Mike Hegman, the blitzing linebacker, takes him down. 5-yard loss.
You know, it's interesting. The Packers are trying to throw on first down to stay out of those long yardage situations. The Packer defense knows that, so they're rushing on first down. We see Mike Hegman. Look, he comes from the right side of the screen, untouched. Lynn Dickey doesn't have a chance. So the Cowboys aren't going to just sit in that flex defense on first down. They're going to be bringing some linebackers. Ernie Stautner said, hey, good one. That's a good play. Good call. I like that stuff.
Ernie, of course, is the defensive coordinator. Now they've got all those extra defensive backs in. Packers call a timeout. That'll mean they have 2 left in the first half. Dickey a little bit unsure. Let's sort of try to bring you up to date of where we stand. As you know, I'm sure, Washington advanced by beating Minnesota 21-7 yesterday at Robert F. Kennedy Stadium. And the Jets beat the Los Angeles Raiders. Surprised a lot of people. Speaking of surprises, how about that one, John?
I'll tell you, that one surprised me, but Don Shula playing at home in playoffs, you never know with him. I'll tell you, he's a great coach, but the Washington Redskins, they're all up in Washington watching this game today, and they all say that they would like to play the Cowboys again. I know I watched the game yesterday, and the fans were saying, we want Dallas, bring on Dallas. Dallas wants them. Green Bay wants them also.
Whoever wins this game will have a crack at them. They'll be the home team next week. We'll be there.
I'll tell you, they've done an outstanding job this year. Joe Gibbs up there has done an outstanding job of coaching. Bobby Beathard, the general manager, of putting that team together. And they've sneaked up on some people.
They have. Of course, they only lost the one game, the game we saw. We saw the Cowboys beat them up there. That was the only one, and it was close right down to the end.
I think since that time, Washington has gotten better, and Dallas slipped a little.
Second down and 15. 47 seconds left to play in the first quarter. Lynn Dickey. Intended for Lofton and out of bounds as once again Dickey was under pressure.
Let's watch the pass protection there. We know that Tim Huffman is starting at left guard for Gerald Goforth. Now watch him block Randy White. The thing you have to do against Randy White is set short. Take him on in the line of scrimmage. Don't let him get started. Good job by Tim Huffman. Look at those arms. He got that shirt way up there, those big arms. He wants to show Randy White he got some arm there.
Yeah, he's got some arms too.
Yeah, arm against arm. The other wrestle.
Jim Jensen is in the lineup for Green Bay now. Third down and 15. Here they come. Dickey intended for Lofton over his head and very nearly intercepted. Good coverage by Dennis Thurman.
I think the playoff experience is showing here. Dallas looks very confident, look like a well-oiled machine. Green Bay doesn't. They don't look like they haven't started yet. They don't know exactly what's going to happen. They're not playing this early first quarter with a lot of confidence.
Dickey is 1 out of 4. Rod Hill will stand back and Stakowitz will punt it. Better kick, but not a whole lot better. Bounces. Hill fields with one hand. Now he's coming back this way, and he's got some blockers over here. If he had gotten past one more man, it was all over. 44-yard punt, 5-yard return.
Hey, the guy that made a great block down there to let Rod Hill get started was Everson Walls. He's on the punt return team, and he blocked about 3 guys while Rod Hill was getting going.
Dallas will take over with 23 seconds left to play in the first quarter. They lead 6-0. The line of scrimmage will be their own 35. Playoff experience, we've talked about that throughout the day. And you can see how much more Dallas has. 176 total years of playoff experience, and that's a bunch.
There aren't any people that old.
Dorsett got maybe a yard before George Cumbie tripped him up.
The Green Bay defense is playing well. You know, they're doing what they have to. They're swarming. It just looks like the offense just can't get on track, the Packer offense.
Perhaps a repeat of what happened here last week when Tampa Bay's defense was on the field a long time and finally just wore out. At the end of the first quarter then, it's Dallas 6 and the Green Bay Packers nothing.
Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Chevrolet. Chevrolet is USA 1, and USA 1 is taking charge. And by the wine cellars of Ernest and Julio Gallo.
Ready to start the second quarter. Casey Merrill has replaced Ezra Johnson at defensive right end. For the Packers, Rafferty to center. 2nd and 9. Crosby swings off in motion, blitzes on. White beats it. Pass incomplete, but a penalty marker is dropped back by the passer. Drew Pearson, the intended receiver, but a flag down. Against Dallas.
You know, you mentioned, Pat, that Casey Merrill is in there at right end for the Packers in place of Ezra Johnson. Well, I just see Ezra Johnson going back in place of Casey Merrill.
You were going to make a significant comment about that.
I was going to talk about the fact that I couldn't see Ezra Johnson on the bench.
67 offense, illegal use of the hands, a push in the face.
Push in the face. That is serious.
Now that's a new one. You hadn't heard of that one. Let's see if we can see it. It'll be on the right-hand side. Right there. There's a push in the face. But that wasn't by 67, though.
There's Donovan on the other side on Casey Merrill. It'll be 2nd and 19 then. From out of the sunshine. Draw play, Dorsett with some room. Dorsett almost breaks all the way out to the 47-yard line. Randy Scott finally stopped him, but it's a Dallas first down, 23-yard gain.
I'll tell you, Tony Dorsett doesn't spend much time in that backfield. Watch, it's a little delay here, but watch how quickly he gets through that line and into that secondary. You get a little block in the line, and then boom, he's right through there for a big gain. Watch it from the end zone, see what it looks like to him. He's on the right-hand side, a little delay here. Guard takes a tackle in, tackle takes the end out, boom, Dorsett just shoots right through.
Back line, it's intended for Tony Hill, incomplete. Mike McCoy was the defender, and he timed things perfectly.
Dallas is one of those teams that still likes to mix the run and the pass. Look at this. They have 63 yards rushing, 31 passing, but look at Green Bay's 3-yard rushing, -8 passing, total offense -5. That's not a very good day's work.
One of the things that Danny White had said when we talked to him before the game was that he felt that they had to control the ball, and so far they've done it. They did it most impressively last week against Tampa Bay. White is 6 out of 10. Dorsett looking for someplace to go. Ezra Johnson was right there with him, and loss of about 4 or 5 yards.
Ezra Johnson's starting to get bigger now. I remember him in college. He went to Morris Brown, and I was looking at him in the draft, and I thought he'd be a linebacker. I never thought he'd get big enough to be a defensive lineman, but he was on the elevator with us last night. He and Mike Butler, and they fill that thing up pretty good.
Yeah, he looks like he might be full grown now.
Yeah, that's a stuffed job when we all get in the elevator. Stuff that elevator didn't want to go.
3rd and 13. What worried me was it didn't want to stop.
We were going down.
On the shotgun. Ezra Johnson with a good pass rush. And White goes down. He's hit by Merrill and Johnson.
Of course, the Packer defense is getting pretty good pressure on Danny White in those passing situations. They go to a 4-man line, as we see here. Merrill and Ezra Johnson will come from the left-hand side of the screen. See it start to collapse right there, and he got hit just as he threw it by Ezra Johnson.
Another one of those 3-man teams that goes to the 4-man line to put rush on the passer. The 4-man fronts do it the other way around. 6-0 Dallas. White back to kick at his own 30. Epps is back deep for the Packers at his own 13. He's got the good speed. Angelo King was the linebacker from Dallas who knocked him out of bounds or chased him out. 42-yard punt, 8-yard return. 6-0 Dallas. Putting an extra pad on his right shin bone. Got an active first half so far. 1st and 10 with 13:06 left in the first half. Ball at the 21. Eddie Lee Ivory. To about the 5-yard gain. Mike Hegman tripped him up. Word on Guy Brown, by the way, was that he had a pinched nerve. They weren't sure whether he would be back or not, but he is. Regular season story for Lynn Dickey. First 5 games, his percentage of completion, and they had a 4-1 record. And that dropped. Their record dropped. 2nd and 5. 5 yards for Ivory on first down. Ellis is the lone setback. Ellis gets the carry, chased by Randy White and taken down by Randy White and Guy Brown.
I think eventually the Packers are going to have to go to some passing on first down. I know we were talking to Bart Starr last night, and he said he thought he could run against that flex defense on first down, but and on second down, on running downs, but I'll tell you, it's tough to make a living doing that.
It's been a long time since anybody has. It'll be 3rd down and 6 now. They lost the yard on it. Carry. Now the crowd chants defense. Again, Randy White is lined up in the linebacker position. Offsides, Ed Jones jump. Dickey runs through it. Jefferson has the pass completion. This is Epps, I'm sorry, not Jefferson. Philip Epps, the rookie from TCU. Ron Fellows, the defender.
He's a guy that's going to make his presence felt in this game. We see that during the regular season, he scored 2 touchdowns. He can really run, and they get out there and they, and they're paying attention to Lofton and Jefferson, and that little Epps, he can do something. Watch this little guy here. He reminds me of Cliff Branch. He only weighs about 165 pounds.
Defense number 72.
Watch him, see they have so much respect for his deep speed that he can drive that corner off.
And the Packers, of course, take the play. That is their first down. Epps is on the sideline now, and let's see what they do on 1st down. Dallas back in the flex defense. Rogers, fumble, out of bounds, and he's the last one who had it, so the Packers will keep it.
Hey, that was a big break for the Packers there. It's the 2nd time today that Del Rogers has fumbled the ball. That one luckily went out of bounds. Let's watch Ed Too Tall Jones, 72 here. He's playing against Greg Cook. Good hand motion. See, he gets his hands, strings it out, let the ball come to you, Too Tall, and then come right down the line and make the tackle. He missed the tackle, though. The ball popped out, so the Packers still have it.
Michael Downs had to come up and make a stop. It is another Green Bay Packers 1st down. Their 2nd. Ivory back in the game now, deep in the eye. Ivory almost broke away from the grasp of Guy Brown, and who else? Michael Downs again.
There was a real collision there. The fullback, Gary Ellis, number 31 of the Packers, on that play had to block Too Tall Jones. Look, and he ran in there and really took him on. That was quite a match. Ellis is saying, not too many more of those, please. Let's see if we can watch it. Here's Too Tall. You see him? He put Too Tall right back. He buckled him.
Good block.
Ellis doesn't want to do too many more of those, I bet.
2nd and 7, 3-yard gain. They're at the Dallas 44. The Cowboys leading 6-0. Pitches back to Rogers. Rogers down the sideline, still on his feet, is finally knocked out of bounds by Michael Downs, but one more Packer 1st down. 22-yard pickup. Rogers, when he can hold onto the ball, can really run.
I'll tell you, he can, but the guy that made it possible was the right tackle. Let's see if we can see it from the end zone. Watch the right tackle, number 68, Greg Cook. He's pulling here. There he is, right there. Now watch, he gets walled. Boom, stay on your feet. That's it. Find another one. Another one right there. Get another one. Boom, right there. Hit another one. Now there's no more there, but see, 68's the guy that made that play go.
That's Greg Cook. They never got him down. That is Rogers' longest run of the season. The Packers, by the way, are not without fans here in Dallas. A lot of them in the hotel last night. Dickey looking down the middle. Pass complete to Kaufman. 12-yard gain, and one more time they'll move those sticks. There they are.
They're all over. Packer fans are all over. Take a train, you see a lot of... You see that Paul Kaufman? Yep. He was falling down as he caught that ball. He made the Pro Bowl doing that. Just kind of finding an opening, settling down, falling down, whatever it takes.
All 3 of their wide receivers, well, their 2 wide receivers, Lofton and Jefferson, are in the Pro Bowl, and so is Kaufman. Jefferson split out wide to the right. 1st and goal from the 9. Dickey on a draw play. Rogers gets down to about the 6. Ed Jones tripped him up. Here, by the way, are those who will be playing in the Pro Bowl when the whole thing is over. I guess it won't be over until they play the Pro Bowl. Jefferson, Lofton, Kaufman, and Larry McCarron, their offensive center, who's a dandy. And 7 of the Cowboys: Dorsett, White, Donovan, Brunig, Jones, White, and Everson Walls. 2 Whites. Bart Starr. There's only one player on this team that was not either signed or drafted by Bart Starr, and that's McCarron. He was there when Bart took over. Here he is. Dickey, touchdown to Lofton. Green Bay with a very impressive drive takes it all the way down the field. Chance to take the lead.
That's one of the things that they've practiced a lot on this week is that rhythm, quick passing, the slant. You see Lofton, he started out, he really put a move there on Dennis Thurman.
Didn't he, though?
Dennis Thurman couldn't do anything except stand there and watch Lofton catch the touchdown.
Lofton has 9.3 speed, so you got to respect that. Doesn't take him long to get there. Stakowitz holding. Stenerud kicking. And Green Bay takes the lead 7-6 with 9:06 left to play in the first half. Packers look good then.
Let's draw that touchdown. We see John Jefferson right here. He runs a crossing pattern. That clears out everything. Puts James Lofton man-to-man on Dennis Thurman. Now he comes up here, freezes Thurman right in here, and then beats him inside on the quick slant. Hey, I love those lines. Now watch it. Here, now watch Thurman. He's the outside man. Watch how he just freezes. He turns a little, he freezes there, and Lofton gets 3 or 4 steps on him.
Great timing on that pass from Dickey, and a good throw from Dickey. Give him some credit, too. And the Packers lead 7-6. Stenerud will kick off. Fellows and Newsom deep for Dallas. Good kick by Young. Fellows from the 2. To the 19. Bill Whitaker on the Packers special teams down to make the stop. That scoring drive, and it was a dandy. 9 plays, 79 yards they went. Kept it 4 minutes. And a 6-yard touchdown pass, a thing of beauty from Dickey to Lofton.
That was a great drive. It had great mixture, good running, good passing, good pass protection. I'm sure the Cowboys are thinking now, we had 2 opportunities, didn't score. Touchdown, scored field goals, no touchdown.
A 50-yarder by Septien, a 34-yarder by Septien, and that's all. 8:58 left to play in the first half. Green Bay 7, Dallas 6. White. This is Dorsett. Nothing doing. Mike Douglas made the stop.
Hey, I like that Douglas. He's all over the field.
Time of possession. Cowboys 14 minutes, 10 seconds, but only 6 points. And Green Bay with the lead by 1.
I think that Douglas proves that if you have quickness and you can tackle, you don't have to be that big, strong linebacker. He can do that. He does have quickness, and he's a good open field tackler.
Especially you don't need it in the 3-man front setup when you're an outside linebacker as he is. Here comes the blitz. This is Newsom who breaks a tackle. Newsom will have a Dallas first down or very near to it. George Cumby made the stop, 11-yard gain. He will have a first down.
Now there's a missed tackle in the open field that allowed the first down.
No, wait a minute, John. I'm sorry. It is about a foot short of a first down, I believe.
Watch this. It's a screen pass. They set it up. They get it out here to Newsom. We see the missed tackle right there. That's the thing that allowed about 7 or 8 more yards. Randy Scott, number 55, missed the tackle.
There he is. Newsom is bigger than the rest of the Dallas backs. He's about 235. I think they list him at 231.
He's bigger than the Packer linebackers.
That's right. 3rd and short. Newhouse has the first down over the left side. Mike Douglas made the stop. Robert Newhouse gets the first.
You always like your fullback to stay low on short yardage. Newhouse is built low. Let's watch Scott here. He's a linebacker. He reads it. He wants to hit the hole the same time the fullback does, but he hit it a little too much to the inside. So, doggone it, where'd that guy go?
Could see him duck his head just as he came into the hole. That's why he missed.
Got to keep that head up. Old coaching point.
Right to Dorsett. inside the 40, about the 42. Cumby again in there. Howard Richards has come in to play guard, and he and Pozderic are in the offensive line now. And out goes Pozderic, and Donovan comes back in.
There's Dickey on the sideline. You know, it looks like he has that confidence now. I think it was important to get that drive, hit some things, throw a touchdown pass. Look, the linemen are saying, hey, we got him now. Do you see his block on that one? Number 68, there's Greg Cook, who got that big block on the run.
And the guy in the middle was Paul Kaufman, the tight end. 2nd down and 2. Ball at the 42. Dorsett to the 49. 1st down, Dallas. Mike Douglas tripped him up. Dorsett has carried 12 times for 59 yards.
Dorsett has that great thing that he can do and move so well. Get in there. Watch Pat Donovan, big Pat Donovan, 67. He takes Ezra Johnson right out of that play, turns him at the end, and then puts him on the carpet. Good block by Pat Donovan to give Dorsett some room.
1st down, 10, Dallas at their own 49. 5:20 left to play first half. White. Hill. Tony Hill moves to the 33-yard line from White. Rich Wingo made the stop. Good for 18 yards.
This crowd, they are alive today. It looks like the secondary is given too much of a cushion here. So it's going to be a zone defense. Tony Hill coming off the line. He gets the bump there. Now he's able to work against the safety, Maurice Harvey, and Maurice is about 2 steps late in there.
Tony Hill and James Lofton, of course, both came from Stanford, played collegiately there. Lofton played behind Hill for 3 years, and then when he was a senior, when Hill was gone, he came into his own. They both were high school quarterbacks. White to Drew Pearson. Drew to about the 30, just inside. Mike McCoy came up to make the stop. They only got about 3 out of that.
That's what the Cowboys like to do. They like to throw the ball down the field, get you thinking deep, and then hit you with those short or screen-type passes. And, of course, if they get you up to play the short or screen-type passes, then hit you deep. Keep you off balance all the time.
Bob Snelker standing alongside Bart Starr. Bob and I played together a long time. The Giants.
He's the offensive coordinator now. Calls all the plays for the Packers.
Pearson comes in motion. White to Dorsett. Dorsett burrows when he gets trapped on the sideline. John Anderson led the Packer defense short of a 1st down by a couple yards.
That's what I like about Dorsett. He doesn't run out of bounds. As a coach, I used to hate that. I used to tell him anyone can run out of bounds. When you get to that sideline, you have to turn it up and finish off the run. I'll tell you, this guy does it. You know, he does a lot of tough things.
He does.
You think of him, those quick things, catching the ball, sweeps and stuff. But he does a lot of those tough type things like that.
Most of the great ones do that.
They sure do. That's the difference.
Just over 3 minutes left. In fact, by the time they get this underway, there will be just about 3 minutes. White. Newsom. Newsom inside the 20 to about the 16. Randy Scott out there with him. He juggled it just a little bit. If you joined us late, Ron Springs is not playing. He has a bad knee. Let's look at Newsom again.
Let's watch this now. Danny White is back in the shotgun. He can throw the ball from the shotgun as well as anyone in football. He finds Newsom to the outside. Now he can't turn it up and stay in bounds, or that could have been close to a score. There's a big guy. He's bigger than those Packer linebackers. In fact, he outweighs 2 of them by about 20 pounds.
Talk about, as you were a minute ago, Lynn Dickey, that people gaining confidence. As you watch Newsom, you can see the same thing happen to him. This is New Howe. Randy Scott tripped him up inside the 15, about the 14. A couple of yards is all.
You know, and then talking about confidence, I think it's important for the Cowboys to get a touchdown here. Because last week against Tampa Bay, they couldn't do it. They started out the first 2 times today. They haven't been able to score the touchdown. And I think for confidence, a touchdown here would do the Cowboys a world of good.
White is 5 out of 5 on this drive. 2:19 left to play first half. After this play, we'll have the 2-minute warning unless it's an incomplete pass. Here comes an all-out blitz. Tony Hill has it inside the 5, and that should be enough for first and goal. Mike McCoy made the stop. Packers had an all-out blitz coming.
Most of the time down here, you expect the receiver to go into the end zone. We'll see it from ground level here. Tony Hill starts towards the end zone, just runs a hook, and Mike McCoy was playing defense in the end zone. That was a nice call.
2-minute warning now. First and goal from the 4 when we come back. Pat Summerall with John Madden, Texas Stadium. First and goal from Dallas, for Dallas, from the Green Bay 4. This is the 12th play in this drive coming up. They started back at their own 20. So the Packers put together a good long one. Cowboys answer back. Green Bay leads 7-6.
This is an area here on first down that the Cowboys have always liked, that play pass where they fake the run, some type of quarterback option run or pass, and find someone in the end zone.
First and goal then from the 4. Tom Landry with his crib sheet. White asking for quiet, please. 3 tight ends in this setup for Dallas. Jay Saldi has joined Dupree and Cosby. Newhouse gets the handoff and falls over the top, rolls down to about the 1. They balk it at the 2 as Bart Starr looks on. Bart was very hospitable last night.
Always hospitable. Now this is the other area that the Cowboys like to play pass. Same area, but second down they like it too.
We have Newsom instead of Dorsett this time in the setup. From the 2. Newsom touchdown. Favorite plays.
That's another one where they bring the tight end in motion. That play at that time was Jay Saldi. He comes in and makes a lead block. I think if you play the Cowboys or watch them enough, you always follow that tight end, and he'll lead you to the play on short yardage and goal line defense.
Septien with Toronto holding. Good. And Dallas recaptures the lead.
See if we can watch it here. Of course, the linemen do a nice job down here in the goal line. They get a good push. We'll see Jay Saldi come in. He leads in there, gets a good block, and that's the play that springs Newsom in there. Watch Saldi. See him, 87. See, he comes in to trap. The guy goes down. Of course, that just lets Newsom run inside of that.
So with a minute and 18 seconds left to play in the first half at Texas Stadium, the Cowboys 13, the Packers 7. That's the scoring drive. Dallas kept it 13 plays, drove it 80 yards. That's the time of possession in the first half. And that's the time left in the first half. Septien will kick it off. It is Del Rogers back deep. Kick. Rogers misjudged momentarily, then backs up into his end zone and comes out. Rogers to the 25, where he's down there. The Packers have 2 timeouts remaining and a minute and 13 seconds in which to work. Rogers strolls off. The score at Texas Stadium is Dallas Cowboys 13, the Packers 7. 13-7, Dallas over Green Bay with John Madden, Pat Summerall at Texas Stadium. A minute 13 left to play in the first half. Packers will operate from their own 25-yard line. 3 wide receivers in this offensive setup for Green Bay. Dickey will go to work. Picked off by Dennis Thurman. Intended for Jefferson. Thurman.
Thurman has been a much maligned cornerback on this team. He got beat for the touchdown on Lofton, but he sure got a jump on that ball to Jefferson.
He got even. 38-yard touchdown run by Dennis Thurman. Septien will try to add the extra point. And he does.
Let's watch it from the end zone. Jefferson is out to the right. He was in the slot. We see Dickey going back. Now watch, he turns. He's watching Jefferson too long. He's watching him too long. Thurman saw that, got the jump. Watch that jump that he got right underneath, right in front of Jefferson, down the sideline into the end zone.
So the Cowboys now lead 20-7. We'll return to Texas Stadium after this word from the National Football League. The preceding message was brought to you by the National Football League, and thank you, Sam Huff.
Green Bay has had 2 turnovers, and the Cowboys have gotten 10 points out of that. That's a big thing. Turnovers and then what you do with them.
Septien to kick off. Still Rodgers back deep, and Rodgers will handle again. From the 2. Walls is the man who made the tackle on the kickoff.
Let's watch the interception again. It's man-to-man. Here's John Jefferson, 83. Dennis Thurman is on a man-to-man. See him tight? Now watch. As Jefferson breaks, Thurman breaks underneath him. He beats him to the position and catches the out. That is a heck of an interception. That was man-to-man coverage all by himself. Dennis Thurman on John Jefferson. Thurman gets a touchdown. You know, he's a good kid.
He really
I like that guy. He has a lot of life and emotion in him, and he's a lot like Butch Johnson.
Packers from the 20. Less than a minute left to play first half. Dickey looking over the defense. We'll go to work again. And Ellis. I don't know if Walls caught it or not. Incomplete. Everson Walls made a dive. That's the catch he so often comes up with. Monty Hunter was over to help.
You know, that's something with this Cowboys secondary. They talk about him, Dennis Thurman. They say he's too small and too slow to play. Everson Walls, they say that, you know, he's a free agent. He's too slow. But these guys really make big plays. You see that? That ball was right there in his hands. But watch Walls right there. The ball did hit the ground. But he's always alert. Always trying to come up with a big play.
So it'll be second down. 54 seconds left to play in the first half. Packers have the ball at their own 21. Dickey back to throw again. Jefferson has it at the 30. Anthony Dickerson spun him around.
The Cowboys are in a real prevent defense. Their corners and safeties are off about 20 yards. They're 3 deep men.
Clock running. Dickey, screen pass coming. Ellis with some room, still on his feet, gets into Cowboy territory before he's tripped up by Harvey Martin. All the way from the other side of the field, 21 yards.
I think that this is an important little drive here for the Packers. They're taking timeout now. But if they can get in and get a shot at a field goal before this half is over, it's a lot better feeling going in than going in after an interception.
Dickey over with Bart Starr. Bart, sure, just reminding him they have one more timeout remaining. Bob Snelker. And, of course, on the other side.
Looks lonely there.
Yeah. to stick around with us at the half, and Brent Musburger will be around with playoff highlights of the entire weekend on the NFL Today. That's coming up at the half. A lot of highlights in the first game today as Miami beat San Diego, and we've had some highlights here.
And I think the Packers would like to have one more highlight. All they need really is one more completion, and then they'd be in position for Jan Stenerud to attempt a field goal.
The dime defense is the one that we've been talking about when they have the 6 defensive backs, 1 linebacker, and 4 down linemen. That's his record against it.
And that's going to be the big matchup today, is Lynn Dickey and the Packers against that dime defense, because they're going to see an awful lot of that. Of course, that's the 6 defensive backs of the Cowboys, and they play that as well as anyone in the NFL.
Line of scrimmage is the Dallas 48. Dickey backtracks. Ed Jones all over his face. Anthony Dickerson almost came up with the interception. Eddie Lee Ivory was the intended receiver.
As you say, we see Dickerson there, and he's the man that almost had the interception, but the guy that caused it was Too Tall Jones. You know, that's a big thing. You can't let a quarterback get in rhythm. If you can get in his face, not let him see, not let him step up, but throw out of a tunnel, it's a different game. Too Tall, I saw him in the shower yesterday, and he said he was fine. He looks fine.
Yeah.
Let's watch him here. 72, left-handed stance. Starts in on Greg Cook, just powers his way up. Did you see that? When he jumps up, heck, he's 6'9". When he jumps up, he's 7'3". Tough to throw against that.
You fill up a lot of showers. Dickey picked off again. It's Dennis Thurman. Thurman comes up with his second interception. John Jefferson was the intended receiver, but Dennis Thurman now has 2.
Every team goes in and thinks they can work on these corners, but if you work on these corners too much, you're going to have to make some tackles. Let's see if we can watch. Again, John Jefferson is 83. He's the second guy in. Starting up the field, he's going to run an in and then try and run a hook off it. It looks like Jefferson should have continued in. Dickey thought he was going to. He stopped and worked back. Thurman didn't. Thurman ran the pattern.
Cowboys will just run it out. That's the end of the first half. Dallas 20, the Packers 7. Texas Stadium alive as both teams head back to that locker room. Cowboys now, after the interception by Thurman, owning a 20-7 lead. Now let's take you back to New York and to Brent Musburger.
All right, Pat and John, coming up at halftime, we're going to show you how the Dolphins and the Jets got to the AFC Championship game, and Jimmy the Greek will give us the favorite for that showdown in Miami next week. And we'll get started here on CBS in just a moment. I think all of us hyped a rematch that simply did not live up to its expectations earlier today. The Miami Dolphin defense climbed all over Dan Fouts and the San Diego Chargers, winning easily in the Orange Bowl. Now, the first 5 times the Dolphins handled the ball, they either scored a touchdown or kicked a field goal. Here was their first score. Woodley rolled right, and Nett Moore had 6. And Don Coryell knew his defense was in deep trouble. Woodley here will throw over the middle to Ronnie Lee. And it was 21-0. And Don Shula was extremely pleased. Now, Fouts will come back. Here he goes to Charlie Joyner. 28-yard Charger touchdown. The extra point fails, and it's 24-6, 27-13 at the half. And this the key interception. Fouts was within 2 touchdowns when Glenn Blackwood got one of his pair of interceptions. Then trailing 34-13, Fouts will again be intercepted by Blackwood, killing San Diego's last scoring threat. 5 interceptions for Don Shula and the Miami Dolphins.
We've been playing big defense all year long, and it continues to get better. And today was one of the examples of our defense and what its capabilities are. You go against the #1 offense and Fouts and Winslow and Chandler and everybody else, Muncie, and the defense holds them to 2 touchdowns. And it was just an outstanding performance. You're not supposed to sack Fouts, and we sacked them. You're not supposed to intercept Fouts, and we got some big interceptions, some big turnovers.
A lot of it was due to the pass rush that we got today, for one, and secondly, because we did such a good job getting jams on people.
And when a team plays a deep zone like San Diego does, you have to have just a little bit extra time to be able to read it and find the open receiver. So I'd say that the offensive line play today was probably the difference.
And as a result of the victory earlier today, the Dolphins now will host the New York Jets, who yesterday went out to Los Angeles and rallied in the fourth to beat the Raiders. And Richard Todd said it was Wesley Walker's speed that did it.
Is an all-pro, and we're going to use him. We threw deep quite a bit because they play a lot of zero coverage, a lot of man coverage, and I challenge anybody to get up there and do that to Wesley.
The Raiders, though, came back. They dominated the third quarter. They scored the first 2 times they handled the ball. Here is Malcolm Barnwell getting loose. And suddenly, the Raiders were ahead 14-10. But then Richard Todd sent the burner deep, and that set up the winning touchdown.
Key was that our defense really sucked it up there at the end. We fumbled. We had a first down, and I said, "Oh my God, we let them back in the ball game."
But twice in the closing minutes, Jim Plunkett and the Raiders had a chance to pull it out. But twice, Lance Mel dropped back into that zone and intercepted for the Jets. And they advanced to the AFC Championship 17-14. There's the happiest man of all, Walt Michaels, the head coach of the Jets. And what made yesterday's victory especially sweet for Walt was that it came over his #1 enemy in the league, Al Davis, who fired him 20 years ago. Here's what happened at halftime yesterday. A phone call from Michaels came into the Jets locker room. Michaels was told the caller was the Jets chairman, Leon Hess. When Walt picked up the telephone, the caller, whoever it was, and it was not Hess, said some abusive things about New York Star defensive end Mark Gastineau. Michaels immediately suspected that Davis was behind the stunt. He hollered into the telephone, "Al Davis, I'll choke you." It later turned out that the real culprit was a man who identified himself as the part owner of a bar in Queens. When Davis was told about Michaels' initial reaction to the telephone call, he described the Jet coach as an insecure idiot. Now, Michaels has had a news conference here earlier today, and he said he will have no more comment. But, of course, Walt is not the only one who has accused Davis of dirty tricks over the years. Some coaches have even charged him with bugging locker rooms. My favorite story in that regard is Harlan Savari. Savari was the coach of the Chargers. Al was on the sideline for the Raiders. Al had him down by a couple of touchdowns at the half. And Harlan was changing the whole offensive scheme of things at halftime. And it suddenly dawned on him what might be happening. He looked up at a light bulb in the locker room, and he said, "And damn you, Al Davis, wherever you are listening." So Michaels is not the first. When we come back, Jimmy the Greek will tell us who's favored, Jets and the Dolphins, and we'll do that right after these messages from your local station.
Right. Details at the store and get $100, right? Okay, I'll tell them. $100.
Get a $100 rebate on the home computer from Texas Instruments.
This is $100 for the people, right? Now, you're not fooling.
Channel 4, KDFW-TV, Dallas-Fort Worth.
Jimmy, down in the Orange Bowl. Next Sunday, it's the Dolphins and the Jets. Who will be favored?
Start tossing a coin. Miami will probably be the slightest of slightest favorites, only because they're at home. That means under a field goal.
They blew them out the first time they played. The Dolphins won that first match easily.
I know, but what was it the second game? A toss-up of almost a tie, 21-20, and that's just what it'll be this time.
All right. Jimmy, let's show everybody some highlights now from the Washington Redskins' victory yesterday over the Minnesota Vikings. Again, it was a sellout crowd in RFK Stadium. They will host the NFC Championship game next Saturday. Oh, that's the signal for John Riggins off tackle right there.
That's great.
And here came Big Riggins. He carried it 37 times for 185 yards and 1 touchdown. But Bud Grant and the Vikings simply do not quit. And they came right back and closed to within 7 at 14-7 as Ted Brown just got to the outside on the left and dashed on in from the 18. But then Joe Theismann, who certainly has been the quarterback of the year in the NFC, went to the hero in the Lions game, Alvin Garrett, and suddenly it was 21-7, but it would have been a lot closer, except this pass from Tommy Kramer to Sammy White was inexplicably dropped in the end zone. Riggins take a bow for the great job, and then Irv Cross checked in with Joe Theismann after the game.
The men up front make holes, they create creases, and then all of a sudden John will take one, it looks like there's nothing there, and he's gone 40 yards like he did towards the end of the football game. It seems like he's like a diesel. He just gets more and more and more momentum as the game goes on.
And, of course, at halftime, it is 20-7 down in Dallas, and the winner goes into Washington to play the Redskins. Irv Cross is on the sidelines down there in Dallas, and so let's go down to Irv. Irv?
You know, Brent, a couple of observations very quickly. When we were down here on the sideline during the pregame warm-up, we stood right next to the Cowboy team, and not one player said a word when they were going through their individual drills. Of course, concentration levels are very important in the playoff game, but it seemed kind of strange, like maybe they might have been flat. But I'm sure Dennis Thurman's interceptions, of course, sparked them. The other thing, which is very obvious to me, is that the Green Bay Packers wanted at least 2.8 seconds in their passing attack to deliver the ball. We've recorded all the passes so far. We've only recorded one time when Dickey had 2.8 seconds to throw. So the Cowboy pass rush is doing its job. Let's go up to Pat and John.
Okay, Irv, thank you very much. There are two things that stand out in my mind, John. One is the thing that Green Bay dreaded most, and that was facing that 6 defensive back defense that Dallas uses, and also the ever-present turnover situation.
Well, that's the thing. You know, it looks like to me, you know, that Dallas is just a playoff machine, that they have so much confidence. They're playing strong on offense and defense and special teams. And Green Bay is playing good defense, but on offense, they look a little shaky. They look a little unsure of themselves, and they don't look like they're really in sync. And, of course, those 2 interceptions, as you say, just killed them this first half.
What do you think? I can't really see that they need to make any adjustment in their thinking. Their thinking was solid going in, I think.
Well, probably stay away from Dennis Thurman and Everson Walls and maybe go to work on someone else. I think they'll try and sneak Philip Epps in the game a little more, get the 3 wide receiver, maybe put John Jefferson in the backfield and see what type of coverage that draws.
You know, John, Matt, and I did the first, this is not to count Green Bay out by any means, but John and I did the first Dallas-Washington game. I don't think really anybody, up until perhaps the last couple of weeks, really thought that Washington is as good as they are.
Well, I sure like them. I think that, you know, they've only lost 1 game, and I think that Dallas game, Dallas was better that day. Then, I think after that game, I think Washington improved, sneaked up on a lot of people, impressed them, and I think Dallas slipped, and they went through their slump. And I think right now, Washington is probably playing better than Dallas up until today. Next week will be a great game.
Oh, it should be, really, and of course, we'll be there. Right now, though, we've got matters at hand as the Packers and Cowboys just start to come back on the field. And we'll have the second half with Dallas leading 20-7.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Lowenbrau. When it's time for the taste of a truly great beer, let it be Lowenbrau. Honda, on a drive with engineering, quality, and value. Honda, we make it simple. And by Sears, Roebuck & Company. You can count on Sears.
Texas Stadium, as you would expect for this second-round playoff game, sold out. Dallas 20, Green Bay 7. Here is how they got that accomplished. This, of course, took place in the first half. Green Bay on offense. Dickey looks to Lofton. And James Lofton juked Dennis Thurman, and Green Bay took the lead with the extra point, 7-0. Dallas came right back on the next possession. Drove 80 yards. It was Timmy Newsom who jumped over the block by Jay Saldi and scored. And the little icing on the cake, John Jefferson, the intended receiver, number 32, is Dennis Thurman. And Thurman had it diagnosed perfectly. Raphael stepped in, added the extra point after that 39-yard interception for touchdown by Dennis Thurman. And that got us to the situation where we are with it. Dallas 20, Green Bay 7. Andy White, the Dallas Cowboy quarterback. Statistically in the first half, 12-7 in first down. See anything else?
Well, the big thing there is the turnovers. We see that Green Bay had 3 turnovers. The Cowboys didn't have any turnovers. And, of course, those resulted in 10 points. As we see here, they had their 3 turnovers, and Dallas scored 10 points as a result of those turnovers. So that's the big one. And of course, that could be from a little nervousness, apprehension, playing on the road, not having the playoff experience, all those types of things.
Dale Rogers, that's what he has done today on kickoff returns. Back for Green Bay, number 35, and Rafael Septien will kick off for Dallas. Ray Stakowitz is the punter. Warming up over on the sideline as we get set for half number 2. And here comes Septien. Rogers drops it. Picks it up at the 5. Gets out to about the 17. Cowboys down quickly. Green Bay in the first half. If you look at the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, that is how they have worked out for them. 3 plays and a punt, 3 plays and a punt, 9 plays and a touchdown. That was their long drive. 1 play in the intercept and 5 plays in the intercept.
Of course, that 9 play and the touchdown is probably the one they talked about at halftime, when they'd like to see some more of this second half.
They also had a fumble kickoff in there, too, that led to a field goal by Septien. They go with those 3 wide receivers, as John Madden suggested. 1 setback and 1 tight end, Kaufman. If he will go to work, Randy White in his face. This is Kaufman across the middle. Kaufman still on his feet. Out to the 40. Hard running by tight end Paul Kaufman.
That's an interesting way to start the second half, and I think it's a good idea. You know, get your 3 wide receivers in against their regular defense. We're going to watch the tight end, Paul Kaufman. He's working across the middle here, catches it, has a step, and then he knows one way to run when he catches that ball straight up the field.
Like Hegman had him man-to-man.
He sure did on that. They had the 3 wide receivers in there, so the linebacker, Mike Hegman, had to be man-to-man in the tight end.
First down, Packers at their own 40. Jefferson in motion. And Dickey again will throw on first down, and does. And it's caught by James Lofton. He goes out of bounds. Everson Walls back there with him. They didn't go in Walls' direction very much in the first half.
I like these things that they talked about, though, at halftime. You know, sneaking in a Phillip Epps on first down, 3 wide receivers, throwing on first down, trying to stay out away from that 6 defensive back. And we see there Lofton did a nice job of running a man-to-man pattern on Everson Walls. A little out.
Another first down for Packers. Ball is at the Dallas 39. Sure, James Lofton stands in terms of all-time Packer receiving leaders. He again goes to work. Outside Ellis. Ellis chased out of bounds by Bruning at Walls, but again, good yardage.
And I like this Packer approach, Pat. They started off the first play of the series, 3 wide receivers. That time they had 2 tight ends in there. They had number 81, Gary Lewis, was in there. Let's watch how they get a player started in motion. Watch your quarterback's left leg. See, when he moves the left leg, right there, see the little up thing? Now that starts Lewis in motion. And then when Lewis goes by him, he pats him. That tells him, I'm here. Snap the ball.
Lofton out to the left and Jefferson out to the right. They go with conventional formation now. Eddie Lee Ivory, one of the runners, and the fake is to him. Pass is to Lofton. Lofton still on his feet. Lofton down to the 10. Don Smerick finally made the stop, chased him down with help from Brunig. Packer march looks good.
It sure does look good. They talked about these things at halftime, I'm sure. You know, Tim Huffman, the left guard, came out and made a good block on that play that sprung James Lofton. Tom Landry saying, what the heck are they doing to us here? Watch it from the end zone. We'll see the fake toss to the right, a screen to the left. Now watch 74 right there. See right there. You see him get that block? And then that's the one, he spun him right around. And then that's the one that sprung James Lofton.
The block was on Guy Brown. It's first down, Packers just outside the 10-yard line. They can make a first down without scoring. Dickey's going to try to do it in a hurry. Just missed Del Rogers. He had him open, and he had a touchdown.
And you know why he didn't get it? Because he had a throw over Too Tall Jones. Too Tall Jones was between Dickey and Rogers, and he couldn't get the ball over his head.
Rogers comes out. Ivory comes in with the play from Bart Starr and Bob Snelker. They look all business on this maneuver.
And I think they have to stay with that type of thing. A lot of substitution, a lot of situation substitution. Getting your 2 tight ends, 3 wide receivers, keep the Dallas defense off balance.
Lofton and Jefferson both out to the right. Dickey backpedals, looks to Kaufman, misses him. Benny Barnes on the coverage with Kaufman. Kaufman put a good move on and had some room.
And Dickey's saying, I should have had that one. The problem was Michael Downs, the free safety, came on a safety blitz, and no one picked him up. Watch him. Here comes 26. Watch him. He's coming right up the middle, untouched. You see, and he gets up in the air, and, you know, he still had a shot at that, though, even though they didn't pick up the blitz.
They'll be coming again. You can almost bank on that. 3rd and long, and the 6 defensive backs. Green Bay going with 3 wide receivers. Kaufman, the tight end, is on the right. Jefferson comes in motion, and Dickey tries to come out of there too quickly. Nothing doing. Dickey was trying to get out of there before it was ready. Stenerud makes his appearance. Bart says, okay. Not a bad drive. It really wasn't.
That was a good drive, and I'm sure we'll see more of that type of thing.
Stenerud from 30 yards out with Stackowitz holding. Left-hand hash mark. He got it with plenty to spare, and it's 20-10 now with 12:17 left in the 3rd quarter. Green Bay puts some points on the board.
Look on the right-hand side of the screen. Number 34 is up there ready to come, or 54. I mean, Randy White. Looked like Lynn Dickey was looking at Randy White, went to pick the ball up and just dropped it. A big 3rd down play. There's a different type of chalkboard. We have them in the booth on the sideline. Got chalkboards all over.
Ernie Staudter talking with his linebacker, Guy Brown. Timmy Newsome and Rod Hill back deep for Dallas. Rod Fellows has a bad ankle. Will not return. Not much there. Penalty markers go flying out of the pack, however. Paul Kaufman was one of the Packers down there, and he's the one doing most of the arguing.
It's against the Packers, and it looks like that unnecessary roughness or some late hit type of thing. It'll be 15, 5, 10, 15.
That is the first Green Bay penalty all day. Obviously, there's a problem with the referee's mic.
We might be able to find it right here with our cameras. Let's see, it'll be in the left part of the frame here. Right there. See, he's down and he gets speared with the helmet. That's what it is. Yeah, that's a good call. He can't have that.
No doubt about it. Cosby is the man in motion, and he is the man who makes the catch. Shook away from one tackler. That was Mike Douglas who came out there with him. He got about 6 yards. Newhouse and Billy Joe Dupree come off the Dallas bench to come into the game with the word for Danny White. Smerrick, Too Tall Jones, Randy White, Harvey Martin. Randy White looking at you, smiling. Cameras do amazing things. 2nd and 3 from the 36. Cosby again in motion. Handoff is to Tony Dorsett, and he's got some room. 1st down to the 45.
Yeah, we talked about this before, Pat, but the way really to run at this Packer defense is to run right at it, up the middle. They haven't had a lot of success with the sweeping type things, but watch this. When Dorsett can start one way, get those linebackers to flow, then get his big guards on those linebackers, he can pick up pretty good yardage in there.
He got 9 that time.
Let's watch Tom Rafferty in there on the nose tackle. That's the secret to the 3-man line. That center has to get some movement on the nose tackle.
White has time to Cosby. Caught. Fingertip catch by Duck Cosby. Mike Douglas knocked him out of bounds. A 15-yard gain. White has now hit 8 in a row.
Doug Cosby says, I have to make up for that one I dropped earlier in the end zone. Drop the easy ones, catch the hard ones. Let's watch it again. It'll be in the left-hand side of the screen here. We see White's looking out there, throws to Cosby. Now watch this catch. Oh, that reminds me of Summerall in 58.
It helps to be 6'6". Didn't remind me of that. Randy Scott made the stop. Dorsett, of course, the ball carrier.
Tom Landry, we see sending in a play with Billy Joe Dupree. You know, last week he sent in a play with Doug Donnelly, and he called him Golden. He had Golden Richards here 5 years ago. He said, Golden, go in and do this. And then after the game, he went up to him and he says, hey, good game, Golden.
And the amazing thing is that Donnelly did it.
So thanks, Coach.
Second down, 7 at the 37. White on a draw play to Dorsett. Tried to shake one tackle, didn't. It was a good one by Randy Scott. Dorsett again, slow getting up. Newsom says, I got you.
There's Golden coming in right now. There's 83. That's Golden Richard. Nope, it says Donnelly on his back.
Sure does.
Tom ought to look at their back sometime.
But Golden or Doug Donnelly or whoever he is can really run.
I'd like to run a reverse to him. He's Golden.
Third down and 7 from the shotgun formation. This time he has time, and this time he goes to Donnelly. And the ball is knocked away just at the last second. I almost called him Golden. Maurice Harvey, the defender.
Maurice Harvey is one of those guys that hits like a linebacker. We drafted him at Oakland, and we just didn't have a place for him, but he's a good player. We see him man-to-man all the way on Doug Donnelly, and he got that hand in there right at the end.
If I were the Green Bay defense, I would beware of Mr. White from this position on the field. Now he's going to kick. Looking for the sideline. Pumped it a little bit too much to the right. Out of bounds. Let's see where.
Oh, he's still walking. There, he stopped him.
14.
You see how they measure that? The referee stands from where the punter punted. The side judge walks up the field until the referee tells him to stop. And that's the point they mark the ball.
With 9:47 left to play in the third quarter. It's Dallas 20, Green Bay 10. 9:47 left to play third quarter. Cowboys 20, Packers 10. Green Bay has the ball. Last time they had it, they went all the way down to the Cowboy 10 and then had to settle for the field goal by Stenerud. Draw play, Ivory. Outside the 20 to the 21. Guy Brown tripped him up.
Look at Bob Brunick there. He's talking. He took the wrong side. Larry McCarron, the center, fired out at Bob Brunick. Brunick jumped to the right side. The ball went to the left. Let's see if we can watch it. Now watch from the end zone. Now watch the center. He's going to fire out. 54. He fires out on Brunick. You see, he escapes to the right side. Ivory runs to the left side. Or just, you know, if you're watching it from the offense, it's run. You know what I mean?
Which is the key to the whole thing.
Key to the whole thing. Jump one side, go the other. Jump the other, go the other.
Second and 2. Just over 9 minutes. Jefferson starts in the motion. Dickey retreats. Ellis makes a one-handed catch, and he's got 2 blockers in front of him. Emerson Walls is over. Ellis just runs over him and gets inside the Cowboy 40. White and Martin are applied the pressure, but Dickey got rid of it.
This is the type of thing that the Packers have to do when you're getting this big rush. Look at the rush. Guy Brown coming from the outside. Randy White, throw it over too tall, get it out. Great catch by Gary Ellis. One hand with that left hand, right up the sideline. Everson Walls does a nice job of just holding on and staying alive.
They got 31 yards.
Let's watch the rush. Here comes Randy White. Big strong, right up the middle. I got him. Guy Brown, I got him. No, none of us have him. There it goes.
There goes Ellis for Packer first down at the Cowboy 47. Jefferson in motion. Knocked away at the last minute. Intended for Lofton. It was Michael Downs who made the recovery.
Let's watch it here. We see Dennis Thurman starts. He's playing zone. He comes off in the short man. Michael Downs is going to come all the way across the field. What? Here he comes. Leap out. Get that hand out there. Knock the ball down.
Dickey had time.
Let's watch the blocking on too tall. They're keeping the tight end in to double team him. Greg Cook and Paul Kaufman. It's a good way to do it.
That's one of the only ways.
He draws a crowd.
It'll make it 2nd and 10, still at the 47-yard line in Dallas territory. They fake a blitz. Not a fake, they're coming. And Dickey read it well. Downs takes Kaufman out of bounds, but they get the first down nevertheless. Good play by Dickey and Kaufman.
I'll tell you, this is an impressive Green Bay Packer offense this second half. Looks like, you play the whole first half, you have Polaroid shots, all those things. They've really made some adjustment. They're beating the blitzes, see just a little quick out, get the ball out there to them, get them on man-to-man. But they're doing a lot of good things. They're getting, 3 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, screen pass against the big rush.
Crowd yelling for defense. Packers at the Dallas 35 now. Dickey had time, and again he has Kaufman, and Kaufman is down to the 15 before he is tripped up by Michael Downs. Down to the 16.
Again, you can just see the confidence level rise in this team. You see 3 wide receivers on the same side. Epps is coming in, cleaning out. Kaufman right in behind him. He chooses Kaufman. That's what you call an overload against a zone. 3 receivers on one side.
They had Hegman on Kaufman man-to-man. He couldn't find him. Kaufman's had a good day. And again, the crowd starts yelling for that defense. 1st and 10 from the 16. Ivory is hit at the line of scrimmage. Maybe struggles for a yard. Brunig made the stop.
The Cowboys were in an all-out or maximum blitz, safety blitz. Mike Downs was up in there coming, and they ran right into their blitz.
Art Starr talking with his other quarterback. That's David Whitehurst. There's Bob Snelker again. Given a lot of credit for the success of the Packer offensive unit this year.
He sure is. Lynn Dickey talks about it. Lofton and Jefferson talk about it. Bob Snelker calls all the plays.
2nd down and 10. Again, they show blitz. Kaufman moved, now he gets set. No penalty. He's a tight end. Dickey, no place to go. Michael Downs right up the middle. 2nd sack on Dickey.
Let's watch that again. They had too many guys in the middle there. The Cowboys did, and they just can't pick them up. Watch that. See, there's man over the center, man over the guard, and then there's no one to pick up Michael Downs, and he comes straight up the middle on Dickey. There's a penalty, though.
I didn't see it. Delay of game.
They must have blown the whistle before the ball was snapped.
Now they mark off the penalty.
Delay of game offense. The play stopped the clock. 2nd down.
See, when Kaufman moved, then Dickey had to give him time to set a second, and then the 30-second clock ran out on him.
And they save it down. It's a break for the Packers. It'll be 2nd and 15. Back at the 21 now. Often split wide to the left, out of the picture. Dickey yells in that direction. Jefferson is inside of him. And the handoff is to Ivory. Ivory down to about the 16 again. Randy White on the bottom of the pile.
Bob Schnelker's going to call the play now. You see him, he has the glasses on there, has that card. He's already called it.
I think he has. He sent in Del Rogers in place of Ivory. He probably took the play in. It'll be 3rd and 9. And the extra defensive backs are in the contest now. They're showing blitz. Dickey. Jefferson turned to the right. Dickey threw it to the left. We'll see Stenerud again.
Dickey was really upset. Looks like Jefferson is supposed to run a slant. Watch him here. He starts inside. Now watch, he stops and goes back to his right. Dickey threw to his inside. So Jefferson was running an out or a corner, and Dickey was throwing a slant.
33 yards out will be Stenerud's attempt. Jefferson looks back at things. Dexter Clinkscale, by the way, was a defender back there with Jefferson. Stenerud has it again, and it's Cowboys 20, Packers 13. 6 minutes, 19 seconds left to play third quarter, and the Packers move closer. 7 down. Some great NCAA basketball coming your way next Saturday. Check your local listings. It's all on CBS, the home of the NCAA championship. West Virginia, Rutgers, Tulsa, Bradley, Idaho against South Carolina. Here's the kickoff by Stenerud. Rod Hill from the 3. Hill still on his feet. Stenerud chasing him. Hill still on his feet. Rod Hill being chased. Hill tripped up at the 10-yard line. Estes Hood caught him from behind. On the kickoff return by Hill, the Cowboys' #1 pick.
Watch it here. It's ironic. This week they were on the Cowboys draft. Rod Hill was the #1 draft choice to the Cowboys this year. Watch, he just runs right through. Poor tackling down there. Poor tackle there. When he gets out in the open, he can move it, but Estes Hood made a big play with this tackle right there at the end. Rod Hill was the #1 draft choice. Really hasn't produced much this year, but that may be all you need.
He just put himself in the record book. Dorsett gets a couple inside the 8. Randy Scott made the hit.
Let's watch it from the end zone here. Here's what it looks like. You see they have a wedge up in front. The blockers start swinging to the right. They catch some of the Packers inside, and there's not really good convergence in tackling there. See, another miss there. And then Estes Hood. Watch Estes Hood. He comes flying into your picture and makes the old flying tackle. Save the touchdown.
That return by Hill broke the record, which was held by a man who paid us a visit at halftime, Thomas Henderson. The old record was 48 yards. That was 89. Here is Dorsett again. Nothing. Maybe a couple off to the left side, but not much doing there. Ezra Johnson made the stop. Here's Rod Hill. Wow, just when the Packers looked as if they were gaining that momentum and getting themselves back in shape, here comes an 89-yard kickoff return.
Look at the offense the Packers have had in the second half, 149 yards. They did good work at halftime.
3rd and goal at the 6. 4:55 left third quarter. Here's the spot for that rollout that John Madden was talking about earlier. Play pass fake. Oh, no play pass fake. Tony Hill was the intended receiver. It's incomplete, and there are no penalty markers. On comes Rafael Raphael Septien. Maurice Harvey was the defender.
I think anytime you see a defender go up with a pass receiver in the end zone, the home crowd always wants the interference. Let's watch here. Danny White leaves the ball in the air a little too long. That was a great play by Maurice Harvey.
Sure was.
To not have contact, get your body turned around, and get that left hand up there.
Septien is 2 out of 2 today, one of them from 50 yards. This one's from 24. Septien is good. And the scoreboard now says the Dallas Cowboys 23, the Packers 13, with 4:37 left to play in the third quarter. Summerall with John Madden. Raphael Septien will kick off. He has just raised his NFL record to 14 straight field goals in playoff games. That's impressive. Septien kicks off. Bill Rogers at the 5. Hit, spins, goes down at the 18. Jeff Rohr made the stop. Next week, CBS Sports Saturday returns with great heavyweight boxing. I know you're into boxing, John. Harry Kotsia continues his quest for another shot at the title. He meets undefeated Pinklin Thomas, so be ringside with us next week on CBS on Sports Saturday.
I like to watch those heavyweights. They don't move as quickly as some of those little guys.
Yes, you can follow them.
You can follow where they throw when something happens.
Len Dickey brings his Packers out from the own 18-yard line. Gary Ellis is the lone setback, and they go with those 3 wide receivers again. This is Lewis who's in motion this time. Dickey fakes. Going for the bunch to Lofton, and he may have a bunch. Lofton makes the catch on a great throw. Dennis Thurman was back there with him.
I'll tell you, that was a great throw and a great catch, but before the great catch, James Lofton put some moves on Dennis Thurman. Watch him. He starts in, goes back out, gets Thurman turned, then comes back in, the third move, and then watch the catch at the end. Stretching out, running through the ball. You know, so many receivers stop and let the ball go over their head, but you have to run through it, as James Lofton just did.
What a fine receiver he is. 4 caught, gained 92 yards. That one was 50. Fumble! Dallas has it. Mike Hegman comes up with the ball. Eddie Lee Ivory was the ball carrier.
Didn't look like he ever had control of the ball. Looked like he may have stumbled in the carpet before he got to the line of scrimmage.
That's 4 turnovers for Green Bay, the second fumble.
Let's see if we can watch it here. He's the second man, number 40 in the I formation. He starts here. You see, as he got the ball, he looked like his feet weren't really under control, and the ball just popped right out.
And Mike Hegman came up with the recovery. So Dallas takes over at their own 31-yard line with 3:39 left in the third quarter.
Standing ovation. Let's watch the other angle. Now watch. His right arm looks like it hits the ball as Dickey tries to put it away. He never does get the handle on it. It slides right down his leg, and then he kicks it loose.
And here comes Hegman, number 58.
Yep. You see what Randy White did to it? He kicked it twice. Those linemen, they don't want the ball. Just kick it around. Let someone else jump on it.
First and 10, Cowboys, their own 32-yard line. Newsom and Dorsett are the 2 backs. Danny White goes to work. Gets Newsom. Newsom barrels out to the 40. 8-yard pickup. Anderson made the stop. Timmy Newsom looks like in some time he's going to make himself heard from.
Well, remember what happened to him in training camp, Pat? He was a tailback playing behind Tony Dorsett. Tom Landry switched him to fullback, and he didn't like that. He left for a day or two and came back, and he realized that Tom Landry runs that football team, and whatever Tom says he's going to do, so he says he's happy.
2nd and 1, 9-yard gain on the pass completion. This is Cosby in motion. This is Dorsett this time for the first down. Not much more. Mike Butler is the man who made the tackle.
Get a little measurement there.
Yeah, I think we will. Dallas Cowboys first down plays. That's what they were looking for. That kind of balance. I know they'd most like to have a better average rushing.
Tom is one of the few coaches that still likes to run as much or more than he passes, and the way the game seems to be going, it's going away from that tendency.
Tom was saying, listen to the crowd again, and Tom was saying when they started this last week, he was looking around for something to happen because he didn't know why they were cheering like this.
He was looking around the stadium and said, hey, they don't act like this at Texas Stadium.
What's going on?
Yeah. Well, you know, they have some different people. They had 30,000 season ticket holders that didn't pick up their tickets, so they had 30,000 different people in here.
Dorsett swung out to the left, and White just throws it away. Nobody was open. He couldn't find anybody. Mike Douglas was out there. Tony Dorsett wisely didn't have to catch it.
Tom probably likes it better the other way. He can concentrate more when it's quiet.
You know, Butch Johnson was saying something. I'll get back into that in a minute. Here's Danny White. Ernie Staudter talking with his defensive players.
Looks like he's making up some more blitzes. He's talking to Dexter Klinkscale there and telling him to blitz. Ernie's an old defensive lineman. He likes to see those defensive backs rush.
Here's the screen pass coming. That's Newsom being chased. Randy Scott was the first man to hit him. He got about 6. Sorry to say, Butch Johnson brought up an interesting point. He said during the regular season, everybody's making different amounts of money. And some people are inclined to say, hey, he's making so much money, he's supposed to do it. He's supposed to excel. But in these games, everybody makes the same thing.
That's right. In the second game, the same thing is $10,000. Both teams receive for this game $10,000 per player, win or lose.
But if you win, you get to play again. So it's 3rd and 5. 1.5 minutes left in quarter number 3. From the shotgun, here comes the Green Bay blitz. White steps up. He has Butch Johnson. He can't quite reach it. Estes Hood was back there with Butch, but he had a step or two.
Hey, there was no weak safety in there at all. Estes Hood not only had Butch Johnson man-to-man, he had him man-to-man all over the field. And talking about money, there it is. First round, both teams received $6,000. Today, $10,000. Next week, $18,000 win or lose. And in the Super Bowl, $36,000 to the winner, $18,000 to the loser. So the Super Bowl victor this year will make $72,000 per man. $70,000 per man, $52,000 for the loser.
Considerably more than last year or any year. Good kick by White this time. That one is up there. Fair catch signal for by Johnny Gray, and he takes it. 42-yard punt, no return. Packers will start to operate from their own 12-yard line with 1:16 left in the third quarter. Wind is not a factor at all today. We'll be in Washington next week for the NFC Championship game on Saturday. Starts at 12 noon, the NFL Today.
And I bet the Redskins are starting to practice already. They're probably out there doing some exercises.
Sure, Joe Theismann's got his receivers and his backs out playing handball or something.
You know, they did practice today. The Redskins did practice. So they're going to be one day up on either one of these teams. Washington just thinks they want Dallas. Oh, yeah? Well, what do you say in Washington to that? Be like a wrestling match here.
Right.
Oh, yeah? I want that guy.
Green Bay has had some very poor field position to start every drive in this half. Smerrick chases Dickey. It's a screen pass. Dickerson is out chasing Ellis. He's still on his feet. Facing Everson Walls and Brunig, and he goes out of bounds. Dennis Thurman also gave him a little nudge, but they got sizable yardage.
You know, there's a guy, Gary Ellis, that I think is going to be a good fullback in this league someday. He was waived a couple years ago by the Rams. In fact, he was one of their last players cut. Green Bay picked him up, and he seems to be getting better every year. If he ever really gets that confidence and gets it unleashed, he'll be a good fullback.
What's the time left in the third quarter? Here's a good pass receiver, Ellis. 2nd and 2 for Lynn Dickey and the Packers. 23-13 the trail. Eddie Lee Ivory does not get the first down. He's about a yard short. Bob Brunig led the defensive surge. Well, he may have gotten more than I thought he got.
Let's watch it from this lineman's angle here. You see those guards, tackles fall out, the off guard pulls. Ivory runs right into his off guard, gets that little push, and it was enough for the first down. Down there in those pits, a lot of pushing and pulling. Good stuff happening in there.
Bill Rogers goes in, Ivory comes out. First and 10 from their own 22 for the Packers. 40 seconds left to play third quarter. First and 10. Pitch out quickly. Rogers. Rogers whirls up to about the 30, 29 maybe.
Greg Cook, the right tackle, was leading on that play. He wanted Rogers to stay outside of him. Let's watch it again. Watch a right tackle. He'll start to pull. Now watch as he turns. Now he's there. Rogers is with him. Cook thinks he ought to stay outside. Rogers leaves his blocker and goes right into those tacklers. I think Cook is right. You know, if you're following a big guy on your team, stay with that guy.
Seems like a wise choice. That's the end of the third quarter. With the score, the Cowboys 23 to Packers 13. We now pause for a word from your local station.
Dallas Fort Worth.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Sharp Electronics Corporation. From sharp minds come sharp products. Holiday Inn Hotels. And by Toyota, to remind you that it's a good feeling to buckle up for safety.
One more quarter to go. Pat Summerall with John Madden at Texas Stadium. There's John Dutton. Has a deep bruise in his thigh and did not even dress, as you can see, in football clothes. Reverse coming to Lofton, and he has got some real estate. Lofton to the 50. Lofton cuts back. He might go all the way. Lofton chased by Thurman, but he can't do anything about it. 71-yard touchdown end around by James Lofton, no penalties.
That is a backbreaker. That was a great call. James Lofton, the smile. Bart Starr said that's the one we need to get back. And that is, sometimes when you're behind, you have to make something happen. The Packers just did.
Lofton, of course, has that great speed. He ran that same play, you recall, in the last game before the strike against the Giants for a touchdown. Stinnerud for the extra point with Stackowitz holding. Rod Hill blocked it, and that changes the complexion of the whole thing.
That always comes back to haunt you when you either miss an extra point or have one blocked. Eventually it'll come back.
Rod Hill may have been maligned, but he's made his contribution today.
Let's watch it. He'll come from the outside here. Looked like he may have jumped a little early on that play. Watch him. He comes right outside that wing and gets his hand in the ball.
So we have still a lot of football remaining. 14:44 left, in fact. The Cowboys 23, Packers 19.
Let's watch the reverse again. That's a great play. Watch. He flips out there to Eddie Lee Ivory. He hands back to Lofton. He gets a good block there. Now watch 54, McCarron. He's going to get one for him right here. McCarron gets that block. Lofton cuts back against the grain, and then there's no one else there. I'll tell you, that was a great play and a great call at that time. That's what the Packers needed.
What a tremendous stride. Lofton really eats up some ground. Dallas 23, Green Bay 19. Still a lot of time left. Everybody thought it would be high scoring, and everybody was right. Stenerud drives Rod Hill a yard deep in the end zone. He has one 89-yard return already. That one gets back to the 20, and that's all. Mark Murphy on the stop.
Let's watch this again. We'll see it's a reverse. Now, Lynn Dickey, the quarterback, he flips to Ivory here, who hands to Jefferson coming back. But the big thing, watch Dickey right here. He makes a block right here that makes it all possible. The quarterback makes the block that springs Lofton. Watch it. The flip, the hand back. Now watch Dickey right there. He comes in. Now watch right there. The block to quarterback. Oh, nice. Layout, the old cross-body block. That sprung Lofton.
And Lofton doesn't need much.
Who said quarterbacks can't block?
It was Guy Brown that Dickey blocked. Here's White. To Tony Hill. To the 35-36. Maybe Mike McCoy made the stop. 16 yards on that pass completion from White to Tony Hill.
I'll tell you, all the Stanford people ought to be proud today of these two.
It's the truth.
We'll see Tony Hill catching passes, James Lofton running reverses. There's the Dallas defense.
And catching passes.
They're all listening pretty good there to something. They're probably showing them what happened on that reverse, saying don't let that happen again.
Tell you what, Packer punch is coming on. 14 minutes left to play. 23-19 Dallas. White again will throw if he has time, and does. Billy Joe Dupree was the receiver. He's caught today. George Cumbie on the defense.
I wonder who the Redskins practiced against today. They practiced against Dallas or against the Packers?
Imagine it was a loosen up day.
Sometimes you have to have some reason to practice. Someone's going to say, "Hey, coach, what are we practicing for?"
They show you entirely different things on offense and defense, don't they? Cosby is the tight end to the left. Newsom and Dorsett are the running backs. Second down, 7. White again will put it up. Standing. All kinds of time for Tony Hill. He got it. To the 37, Mike Douglas on a stop. White with all day to find somebody.
This is something that was great pass coverage by the Packers. Because Danny White has all kinds of time, but he can't find anyone open. Left, there's no one there. Run a little while, there's no one there. Then he waits, and he finally finds Tony Hill down here. Says, "Okay, I'll give it to you." Did you see how high he got in the air to catch that one?
24-yard gain. He is a super athlete. 6 catches for Hill for 93 yards today. He's out to the right this time. 1st and 10. White. Flea flicker, and White's going for the punch for Hill again. Just knocked away in the end zone at the last second by Mark Lee, who got his hand up.
That's one that didn't fool either Mike Lee or the free safety Maurice Harvey. They were both back there waiting for it. The Redskins did that yesterday. They ran that same type of play. You see it didn't affect either one. Harvey has him inside, and Mark Lee had him outside, and Lee got his hand up.
It'll be 2nd down and 10 now from the 37.
Still inside out.
Hill comes out to the left this time. Pearson split out on the other side. A quiet day for Drew. White's trying to set up a screen, and does. Back across the field. They get one block. This is Newsom. Newsom to the 20. Newsom to the 17. Maurice Harvey made the stop. 21 yards for the Cowboys.
Landry says, you want trick plays? I'll show you some trick plays. First we get the old double reverse, and we get this. Now what Danny White does on this, watch, he gets everything going to the right. He's going to sprint out here to the right. Pull the guard to the right, the tackle to the right. Make the defense all come to this side. Stop, throw back out there to Newsom. He has one guy in front of him. That was his right tackle, Jim Cooper, sneaked all the way out, and he was the single blocker.
Newsom now has caught 7 passes. First down, Dallas at the Green Bay 16. Dorsett to the 10 to the 9. Ezra Johnson tripped him up.
Now Bart Starr has to sit there and watch Tom Landry's tricks. Tom Landry watched a good one Bart Starr had.
Sure did. Seven yards for Dorsett, make it 2nd and 3. The ball at the 9. Two tight end situation for the Cowboys. Dupree and Cosby. Dorsett goes back deep. And the handoff is to Dorsett. He squirms down to about the 6, close to a first down. George Cumby tripped him up.
Two things the Cowboys are thinking of here. Of course, they didn't get the first down. Third down, the first thing they want to do is pick up the first down and then take some time off the clock and get their score. He sent the play in with Jay Saldy. Now, Jay Saldy usually lines up as a wing, comes in motion, and leads a running play up the middle somewhere. See if he does it this time.
What they want to do right now is hurry, because there are only 7 seconds left on the 30-second clock. They got it off. White, Cosby, touchdown.
Great spike.
That ball was halfway to Cosby before he ever saw it.
I know, it was another trick play, too. Cosby lined up on the left side. Came all the way across the field. Let's see if we can see him here. See the fake to the left. Now see Cosby coming across there. Then Danny White bootlegs, finds him out there, gives it to Cosby. He knows he's going to score there because he's 6'6".
And 2:30. Septien with Toronto holding. Makes it Dallas 30. Green Bay 19. Still plenty of time left.
Let's see if we can draw that up on the chalkboard here. Get some stuff. We're going to see a run here, a fake here. White will fake to him here. Cosby comes in here from this side, then he sneaks through here and out. Danny White, after he fakes, comes out here and throws the ball from here. Let's see all those lines. Let's see if it makes any sense. Okay, snap it. Okay, there's a run fake. Now watch 84 Cosby. Sneak across by those linemen. No one sees him, no one sees him. White sees him, gives him the ball right out there. Nice.
That looked like the menu at a Chinese restaurant.
It's just soup.
30-19, Dallas leads after the touchdown by Cosby. Crowd really just screaming now. Septien hits this one. Rodgers goes 6 yards deep in the end zone, and he won't try to bring this one out.
Nice drive, 80 yards and 8 plays. The big one was that screen pass, though. That was that trick play. You get a little roll to the right, throw it back across the grain. Big play.
White is now 21 out of 31 for 207 yards and a touchdown. The one to Cosby. And Dallas leads by 11. But there's still plenty of time left, and Green Bay has been really cooking. First and 10 from the 20. Lofton out wide to the right. Jefferson to the left. Hoffman goes in motion, and Dickey will throw on first down. For Eddie Lee Ivory. Penalty marker downfield. In the area where Lofton and Michael Downs were bouncing off each other. That's a 26-yard pass completion.
It's in the area of pass interference of some type. It's usually defensive pass interference, but we've seen some offensive pass interference. Here's what it is. That's what they were calling. Can't find his flag. There, he got it. Throw that baby down. I got you.
Walls is saying he ran into me, but he was interfering with Lofton's path that he had chosen. And we've seen that call before. There's Doug Cosby, the man who just scored that touchdown.
He's over there celebrating. Spit.
Hoffman in motion again, and Dickey goes right back to throw. Lofton is cut down by Dennis Thurman, but nevertheless, he comes up with another catch, 26-yard gain.
He has a smile. He's really had a big day today. He's already had 2 touchdowns. Now watch, with his speed, Dennis Thurman has to respect that deep one. Did you see Thurman turn? He started to turn like Lofton was going on and up. Lofton just cut it off, went back to the sideline. That's what speed will do.
Lofton, of course, was a track man, a high jumper, and a long jumper, as well as being an outstanding receiver at Stanford. He's quite an athlete. This is Lewis trying to throw it, and nothing doing as here comes Randy White. Setting up the throw, some more trick plays.
Some more trick plays. He was trying to throw deep to John Jefferson. The Cowboys weren't fooled. Everson Walls and Michael Downs had Jefferson double covered. See if we can see it. Now here he's coming back. He wants this pass, has to be a lateral. See, because you can't have 2 forward passes. It is a lateral. He's looking for Jefferson. He was double teamed. He got rushed, and here comes Randy White. You see the double coverage? Here's why he couldn't throw it. Inside out on Jefferson. They didn't get fooled.
A lot of times when an inexperienced passer like that gets in a situation, he panics and throws it anyway.
Lucky he didn't.
3 wide receivers for the Packers. Now Epps in. They're looking in that direction. Pass is almost picked off by Michael Downs. I think Epps must have run the wrong pattern.
That's the second time that happened on a play. Remember, in the end zone there, Jefferson ran out. Dickey threw in. On this play, Epps ran out, and Dickey threw in. Watch him. He's watching Epps all the way. And he's throwing it in. There's no Epps there. No guys there. No green guys. Epps was out on the sideline.
Dickey this half is 11 out of 16 for 234 yards. That's this half.
That's a great second half.
3rd down and 14. Dickey going for the bunch to Jefferson. No. That was very close to being interference, the way they call them these days. But no flag.
Dennis Thurman's getting a lot of work today. Watch Jefferson. He's 83 there. It's in a foot race. See, Thurman's coming from the outside. Dexter Clinkscale, 47 inside. He passes both of them, and the ball is just a little overthrown. You thought that was could be, huh? Think so?
Could be.
What do you think?
No, both of them touched him.
Yeah.
No flag, however. Stakowitz back to kick, and Rod Hill comes up to about his own 15. Stakowitz aiming for out of bounds. Gets it out of bounds inside the 10. Not bad. At about the 8. 35-yard punt, no return. I think you'd be safe in saying he's a Cowboy fan. 7:40 left to play, 30-19. Picture by half. Let's see how the complexion of things change. First down, 10 from the 8. Dorsett comes around the corner, gets out to about the 15 before he's pushed out of bounds by Mike McCoy.
Boy, Dick Nolan will be proud. Dick Nolan is the receiver coach of the Cowboys. On that play, Drew Pearson, number 88, Comes in from the outside and gets a block that springs Dorsett. We're talking to Dick about this. Watch it from here. Watch him. 88 come in there. Boom. He gets a block right there. That springs Dorsett to the outside. Those receivers have to do everything. You know, we haven't heard a lot from Drew Pearson.
No, we haven't. They've done a good job on him.
They sure have. He's caught one pass all day, but so he said, if I'm not going to catch any passes, what the heck? I'll just block. Here's some pads.
Dorsett has 95 yards now as White drops the throw. Newsome, a diving catch, can't hang on. Incomplete. Mike Douglas was the Green Bay defender. 7.5 minutes left to play. Newsome trots back. Dorsett will come in with the play from Landry.
It's the old double clutch. He gives him something, and then as he starts to go in, he gives him something else. And stop, I got it.
Dorsett with the message to White. And Bart Starr watching his team trail by 11 points now. 30-19 with 7.5 minutes left to play.
That extra point does loom big, doesn't it? If they had made that, it would be a 10-point thing, a touchdown and a field goal. Now the Packers have to be thinking in terms of 2 touchdowns with 7 minutes, 30 seconds to go.
Danny White looked out to the left. 3rd and 3. Throws picked off. Mark Lee gets the interception and the Packer touchdown. It bounced out of the hands of Newsome and into the hands of Mark Lee. It's a touchdown, Green Bay, and it's not over yet.
Just said Green Bay needs 2. They get 1. There's 1. Now all they need is 1. Let's watch from here. Danny White's looking to Newsome. Hits him right there. Was a little inside of him. Popped off his right hand. The old tip drill. Tips it right into Mark Lee. There's no one between him and the end zone.
22-yard return for the touchdown. That's the first Dallas turnover of the day. Stinnerud will try for the extra point. 30-25 it is. And now it's 30-26. And that 4-point difference instead of the 3-point difference.
Let's watch the interception again. We see it to the outside. You see the tip was thrown inside. Newsome was spinning around, hit the ball. Mark Lee was right there.
So the Packers certainly aren't out of it by any means. 7:23 left to play, a lot of time, and it's 30-26 Dallas.
As we watch this pass here again, we'll see it was thrown behind Newsome. He really didn't have a chance. Watch this. See, he's going out to the left, and the ball is thrown behind. He was lucky to even get a hand on it. Of course, Mark Lee was still right there.
And so there's a 4-point difference. Cowboys 30, Packers 26. Doug Donnelly and Timmy Newsome are deep for Dallas, and Stinnerud kicks it off in the direction of Donnelly. He hadn't done much of this before. Next week, CBS Sports Saturday returns with some great heavyweight boxing. Harry Coetzee against Pinklin Thomas. Check your local listings. But that's one you should not miss here on CBS on Sports Saturday next week.
They're both ranked in the top 10. You know, how you get Harry out of G-E-R-R-I-E, I don't know, but that sounds good. It probably has something like that in it.
Green Bay, the turnover situation. Cosby shifts over on the flank to the left, and Dorsett moves back deep behind Newhouse. The pitch is back to Dorsett. No place for him to go. Fired up Green Bay defense gives Dorsett only a yard. Johnny Gray and Mike McCoy. And here comes the penalty flag.
Maybe Drew Pearson started blocking, and maybe he looked like he had a little extracurricular blocking on that sideline there. Maybe he likes that contact stuff. Drew's a good guy. He's been a heck of a receiver for this Dallas Cowboy team. Mr. Clutch.
We have offsetting personal fouls, unnecessary roughness, 88 offense, 22 defense. The play stands. It's second down. Continuous action. The play stands.
We got something. Mark Lee, 22. He was the guy that just scored the interception. 88, we just see him. That was Drew Pearson. Only caught one pass all day, so he's going to his physical game.
Now he has one punch to go with the one pass.
Let me at him, he's saying.
Second down and 10. White back to throw. Green Bay in the blitz. Billy Joe Dupree has it. Stays on his feet. Might have gotten the first down. He did. Randy Scott hit Big Billy Joe.
I'll tell you, that showed Danny White's strength there. Mike Douglas will see him coming on a blitz. He makes a mistake. You never do. You never jump at a quarterback because he can always duck under you. Now watch right from the left. He's going to come in here. Now watch him. See, he jumps. He shouldn't have left his feet. Danny White just sidestepped that and was able to get the completion. A blitzing linebacker should always run through that quarterback.
And Dallas gets the first down. This is something, that graphic, that they cannot afford to do in this situation. First and 10 for the Cowboys at their own 37. 6:55 left to play. Draw play, Dorsett. Dorsett outside the 40 to the 43. Tripped up by Terry Jones. Richard Turner with help. There's the time remaining. Dorsett moves over 100 yards now. 101 and 24 carries.
You know, and the different thing about that 100 yards, they've all been tough for Tony Dorsett lately, but it was an awful lot of inside running today, more than I've ever seen him do.
A lot of 6 yards and 7 yards. Those tough ones.
He's doing it the hard way.
Second down 4. He got 6th in. Green Bay again in a blitz. White dodges, throws. Incomplete. Intended for Drew Pearson. Mike McCoy made the hit.
The fans are booing again. They want an interference, but watch the rush that he's getting. He gets rid of the ball here. Now watch McCoy gets inside, and he gets his left hand over Drew Pearson.
Good defensive play.
Let's watch it from this angle. See if he does the same thing. It should be his left arm. Watch him shoot his left arm in over his shoulder. There it is, and knock the ball out. That was a good play. You got to give him that. I mean, his secondary at least has to be able to do that.
Puts Johnson now in the game. Lined up in the slot to the right. 3rd and 4. White signals out to the right to someone. Throws and has Doug Cosby at midfield. First down. That big target one more time.
I'll tell you, when you're getting a rush and you have this thing and you want to work the ball in the middle of the field, Doug Cosby's the ideal guy to do it. He was working man-to-man against John Anderson, number 59, a linebacker, brought him in, held him, and then boom, went to the outside. You see that little thing Tom Landry did? He took his fist and went like that, you know?
Yep.
That's the most emotion I've seen from him. I was like, we got him now. Keep it going, guys. Keep it going.
Jay Salvy's in the game now. White looks out to the left, throws to Pearson, and he can throw. And does. For Tony Hill. Has it. Tony Hill. Remarkable catch. Mike McCoy back with him. But Hill spinning around makes the catch.
I'll tell you, these two teams are pulling everything out today. We've seen everything. Watch this from ground level. Now, this has to be a lateral, right? So it's a lateral out to Drew Pearson. Used to be a quarterback. Only caught one pass all day. He's becoming a blocker, a fighter, and he said, I'll throw it. Look at that move. He looked like a whirling dervish.
A full spinner by Tony Hill. It's 1st and goal, Dallas from the 1.
Tony Hill, what a day he's having.
7 passes caught for Hill. None bigger than that. 3 tight ends. They give to Newhouse, and Newhouse barrels in. What a show.
The stadium is rocking. We've seen it all today. Dutton looks like he likes it. Little smile on his face, and this is what it looks like.
4:24 left to play, 36-26 Cowboys, and Septien makes it 37-26. 74 yards, 7 plays. This is like a highlight show.
I know it. Let's watch this pass again. I love this one. Watch a long pass. Here we come. Here's, you see, the pass back to Pearson. He just unloads it, everything he has. Now watch Tony Hill. He's looking to his right, swirls to his left, back to his right, an over-the-head catch. What more can you do?
Oh, no.
What he didn't do is score the touchdown. But here's the guy that does score the touchdown. Robert Newhouse. Just pound it in there. Stay low. Keep the feet right. That's it. Okay, touchdown.
4:24 still left to play. Both teams have all of their timeouts left. Danny White has completed 23 out of 36. There's the man who just scored the touchdown, Robert Newhouse.
I wonder what the Washington Redskins are thinking of this one.
I bet they're even excited.
Good. How do you defend all that stuff? Richie Pettibone up there saying, we got our hands full with either one of these. I like that kind of talk. Ready or not? Here we go. We'll be going up there, ready or not.
Oh, yeah. The crowd, the honorary captain for Dallas today, and they're doing a pretty good job. Rodgers retreats into the end zone, 6 yards deep, and now he comes out. Rodgers still on his feet, now he goes down at about the 18. Danny Spradlin came over. Time remaining 4:14. Lynn Dickey, who's had a little rest, comes back in. We, of course, as we told you just a second ago, will be in Washington next Saturday for the NFC Championship game, either Dallas or Green Bay against the Redskins at 12 Eastern Time. It begins with the NFL Today. Danny White and the other Cowboy passer sitting next to him, Drew Pearson.
What offense we've seen. The fans like offense. Green Bay has 422 yards, Dallas 381. We've seen 803 yards of offense. Whew.
Time of possession, Dallas has just about doubled it. They're going to have to hurry with this play. They do get it off in time. They had 1 second left. Dickey going to work. Goes to Epps, and it's knocked loose by Michael Downs. Rod Hill was also back there, but Downs' body collision is what knocked it loose.
You know, there's a guy who's been all over the field today, Downs. Watch him. It's for Philip Epps. Watch Downs come in there. He said, I have as much right to it as you do. And he was upset that he didn't intercept it. But Michael Downs has been all over the field. He's been knocking balls down. He's been blitzing, covering. He's having a big, big day in that Cowboys secondary.
He was not drafted high because they thought he was shy of contact. But that hasn't turned out to be the truth at all. Second down, 10. 4:08 left now as Dickey drops to throw and does. And misses Ellis. Everson Walls was out with Epps. I'm not sure who that was intended for.
Well, Lynn Dickey's upset, and he's given someone to Dickens.
Lynn Dickey, who in his career has had a separated shoulder, a broken hip, a knee operation. He has come back from a lot of adversity.
Looks like he's still mad. Watch his reaction to that last play. Looks like a coach.
I would say you were right.
He used to do that.
He was upset. 3rd and 10. Here comes Too Tall Jones after Dickey, and he gets him. They had a stunt going, and it worked perfectly.
They sure did. The Packers didn't pick up that stunt. Watch Too Tall. He starts from the outside. He's going to go inside. Smirik will work to the outside. No one picks him up. You know, we always talk about stunts. Let's see if we can draw one up here and show what it looks like. The tackle will work to the outside. Too Tall right here, loops and comes right up the middle. Watch him. You see that? The tackle will come outside. too tall, goes inside, and they don't pick him up.
And we come back to Stackowitz kick. Chases Ron Hill back to the 43-yard line, and Hill cuts into Packer territory to the 45. 3:26 left to play. There is Ed Jones.
He was one of the last ones to leave the Cowboy practice field yesterday, and I had a chance to talk to him. He said last week when he hurt his knee was the worst he's ever been hurt in his life, and it scared him more than anything.
He's too big to hurt.
He can't hurt. Well, remember when he boxed?
Yeah, he got hurt.
Yeah, he was down in the corner, and the guy was still hitting him. He's fans.
Don't forget 60 Minutes coming up on CBS following football. Except on the West Coast, where you'll see it, of course, at its regulation time. Dorsett goes back deep. From the Packer 45, they give to Dorsett, and he is hit immediately. He had no chance to go anywhere. John Anderson was there before he ever tucked the ball away almost.
I'll tell you, this Packer defense, and especially the linebackers, have really done a good job today. John Anderson, Randy Scott, George Cumbie, very active. Mike Douglas, all over the field.
Dorsett just went under 100 yards after he lost those 3 there. Or 4.
Well, he's still looking for the ball that he ran 99 yards against Minnesota. In fact, he has a $200 reward out for that ball.
It'll be 2nd and 14. Clock running now with 2:45 left to play, and they'll take their time now. Pitches back to Dorsett. He got maybe 2, and there comes the penalty marker down. Face mask violation.
Yeah, the Packer defense has done a good job of not letting Dorsett get to the outside. I mentioned that earlier before. They grab a face mask on this play. But most of his yards have come from the inside. But watch the face mask right there. You see it? Bring that head back. Yep, they got him.
There's Johnny Gray. And there's the penalty.
Oh, they're doing a 15-yarder.
Wow.
It's one of the first times I've ever seen a 15-yarder on a face mask. It can be 5 or 15.
Personal fouls, grasping and pulling on the face mask. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Grasping and pulling.
Grasping and pulling. If they just grasp, it's a 5-yard penalty. A grasp and a pull, which is much more serious or could be more dangerous, is then 15 yards.
1st and 10 for Dallas at the Green Bay 32. Timmy Newsom in the backfield with Dorsett. He leans a little, now gets set. And Dorsett again, fumble. In the scramble. And the Packers come out of there with it. Ezra Johnson comes up with the football. And the Packers have another chance. 2.5 minutes left to play. 37-26 to score.
That's what Danny White was saying before the game. He said, this is what we can't afford to do. We can't have turnovers. Let's watch it again. It was just like the other fumble of Ivory. He didn't get control. He didn't get the handle on the ball. You know, that would have been interesting had not Ezra Johnson fallen down there, because they had a block on Danny White, and I don't know who else was there.
Just the official.
Yeah, well, they don't tackle either of those officials most of the time.
So Green Bay has it at their own 35, and they still have time with all those timeouts left. 2.5 minutes left to play. Flag is down. Dickey's going to go through it. No, he can't. Sack on Dickey by Randy White from behind, but Dallas, I believe, was offside.
And Dickey has to be injured on that one, Pat. He got bent ways that you don't normally bend.
He is in pain, no question about it. He did move in an odd way, didn't he?
Well, watch what happens to him. He gets his leg caught underneath, and then he gets bent over backward on it. Watch here. You see he has his leg there, and then watch. You see how he got bent over backwards? That's not a normal position.
Here's what we were talking about a minute ago on Lynn Dickey, the history of his injuries. Back in '72, when he was first picked, he hurt his hip. He missed 14 games, separated his shoulder, missed 4 games. broke his leg, 77, 79, missed all those games. David Whitehurst, his backup, is warming up over on the sideline. Dickey's still trying to bend back like he should be. Whitehurst is going in.
Now, Lynn Dickey, when a player has an injury and there's a timeout, he has to come off for at least one play anyway, so we can watch that to see if he's just coming off for the one play or if the injury may be something serious or more serious.
He is checking things out right now. I think he's going to be back. Whitehurst on 1st and 5. On the draw play to Ellis, who breaks into the Dallas secondary. Stays on his feet, gets the first down before Michael Downs, who led the Cowboys during the regular season in tackles, cuts him down. 18-yard pickup. They're going quickly, no huddle. They want another play before the 2-minute warning. Whitehurst speeds him out, and he better hurry. They get it off. Whitehurst has Smirek all over his back.
See if we can see Don Smirek here. 60, he'll be coming straight up the middle. Harvey Martin coming from the outside. There's Smirek right on him. Goes up too high, just rides him right down to the ground. Bulldog him.
That's the 2-minute warning as Smirek, starting for Dutton, gets the sack. 1:59 left to play. 37-26. Dallas leading Green Bay. Pat Summerall with John Madden. Lynn Dickey is back in the game. Second and 15. All the timeouts left. 3 for each team. Dickey gives draw play to Ellis. Ellis doesn't get much. Now they may have to use one of those timeouts as Anthony Dickerson read it well.
Oh, I can't figure that play out, Pat. They have 2 minutes to go. They need 2 scores, 2 touchdowns. They have to be thinking in terms of scoring twice, and a draw play doesn't seem like a good call.
Here's Dickey back to throw. Jefferson comes up with the catch. Jefferson hurries back. He is inside the 20. 30-yard gain. They mark it at the 16. Michael Downs again had to make the stop. And now Green Bay takes a timeout.
Now that one was a good play. I think that's what they have to do. Get the ball upfield. Get your 1 score, then work on the second one. Here's John Jefferson. He starts to the inside, back to the outside, back to the inside again on a post pattern. Lynn Dickey made a nice throw, just throwing it right in that hole of the zone.
And Dickey pays his visit to the sideline. 1.5 minutes left to play now. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Dallas Cowboys and the National Football League is prohibited. The book on Dickey is a good one.
You see where it says TDs? He only has 1 there. He needs a couple more, and he needs them quickly.
First time they've met in the playoffs, these two teams, since Bart Starr was the Green Bay quarterback, and they beat the Cowboys on the last play of the game. And weather so cold, I couldn't believe it, and I'm sure a lot of people who were there still can't believe it.
You see that quarterback sneak that was in, they always talk about Jerry Kramer and the block on Jethro Pugh. The center, Ken Bauman, had a lot to do with that block.
He sure did. Green Bay with 2 timeouts remaining now. 37-26 the score. Dickey back to throw. Looks down the middle to Jefferson. Throws outside to Ellis, incomplete. Anthony Dickerson out there with him.
I don't know if I'd be running draw plays and throwing the ball to the back and the sideline. They have to get the ball in the end zone because 1 minute, 26 seconds left. You think in terms of 2 touchdowns. You have to get 1 and go to work in the second one. You can't waste all your time getting the first one.
Dickey has got 327 yards unmentioned. That's a new playoff record against the Dallas defense. More than anybody's ever gotten before. Jefferson swings in motion and now cuts upfield. And Dickey throws to Kaufman down at the 11-yard line, and he is popped. But once again, you might as well put that thing in the end zone. Kaufman is hurt.
I'll tell you, he took that shot right there in an area where you don't have any protection. You see, it's above the hip pads and below the shoulder pads.
And the Packers use another timeout.
Let's watch Paul Kaufman here. He's a tight end. He'll be coming across. Now watch as he catches that ball, the shot that he takes right in that area, again, above the hip and below the shoulder pad.
That was Kaufman's 5th catch of the day. And he seems to be shaking it off. It's at the 11-yard line, 3rd and 5, a minute, 4 seconds left to play. Cowboys leading by 11. Packers have to be thinking touchdown and then onside kick and then hope.
And then get another touchdown.
They got to have a touchdown. They missed that extra point.
Of course, that always comes back to haunt you. But the other thing is, we said before, they can't waste all their time getting the first touchdown so that they don't have any time left to get the second touchdown.
(37-26). The winner goes to Washington to play the championship game next Saturday at RFK. Lynch comes back in. Once again, a reminder that 60 Minutes will be seen following football, except on the West Coast, where you will see it at its regular time. The Redskins, I'm sure, are looking on. They said they wanted Dallas. It looks like they might get him.
I think they're just happy to be there themselves. They'll take anyone.
I'm sure. Dickey picked off in the end zone by Dennis Thurman, his 3rd interception of the day. He brings it back to the 11-yard line. Paul Kaufman was the intended receiver, and indeed they will get Dallas. Dennis Thurman's 3rd interception of the day.
Dennis said he wanted that one. You see that ball? He's not going to have to put out that $200 thing for it, reward for it. He's keeping that one himself. Let's watch it. We see the motion. It brings Thurman in, 32. Dickey's looking over. Thurman gets up in the air, catches the ball. He's starting to think that he won't take it out. Then he says, what the heck? It's a playoff. Let's bring her on out.
That ties another playoff record for Cowboys. A record held by Charlie Waters against the Bears when he got 3. Thurman has 3.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
56 seconds left to play. Packers down to 1 timeout, which they will use, I'm sure, right now. And they do.
Tom looks bored. I'll tell you, Bart Starr has done a great job with that organization and that team this year, bringing them this far, getting in a shootout with the Cowboys, 31-26. I'll tell you, they really threw everything at each other.
Executive producer Terry O'Neill, that is of the NFL on CBS. Senior producer Charles Milton. Today's game produced by Bob Stenner. Directed by Sandy Grossman. Associate producer is Joan Petrano. And thank you to all the rest of you. We want Washington, is what they say here. In Washington, they say we want Dallas. They're both going to get their wish. Now the Packers are out of timeouts. And the clock continues. Landry, Al Lavin standing behind him.
James Lofton.
Wasn't his fault.
Well, what more can you do?
That's got to be the longest half minute, or one of the longest ones he'll go through. The crowd will let you know how they feel about it.
the crowd's going to go into the locker room after the game. You know, they're honorary captains. They may want to go in with Tom Landry for the interview.
I wonder if they can afford 65,000 game balls. NFC Championship will be Dallas against Washington. And there's no need for any incentive because they really don't care for each other. Herb Cross will be around and have some guests down on the sideline from the winning team. While I have a chance, and you look at Danny White and Tom Landry, gives me a chance to say thank you and say so long for John Madden and for myself, Pat Summerall. So that's the final score as we get closer to Super Bowl time. Dallas 37, Green Bay 26. Right now, let's send you to Brent Musburger in New York.
All right, Pat and John, thank you. Dallas, Washington, memories of Clint Longley and George Allen. And Irv Cross will be in that locker room. But I want to remind everybody that coming up next, 60 Minutes. And tonight, it headlines a story that looks at what happened after a New Orleans policeman was killed. That is a story that a federal judge tried to keep off the air, a very important story. That is coming up next, except out on the West Coast. And we will have those interviews with Irv Cross inside the Dallas Cowboys locker room. And also, we'll take you back and show you what has transpired throughout the National Football League on this weekend. And we will continue with the NFL Today in just a moment. Playing for the NFC Championship and the right to go back to a Super Bowl. And let's go down now to Irv Cross at Texas Stadium. Irv?
Brent, of course, the happiest man in town, Coach Tom Landry. Coach, I guess they're never easy, are they?
No, they really aren't, Irv. I think that was a great football game, boy. Anybody saw that game enjoyed it, because I never saw so many big plays.
Well, I know prior to the game, you expected a lot of scoring. You know, you have a good defense. The Packers came in with a reasonably good defense. Why did you expect so much ball movement?
Well, I just felt like that both sides could move the ball. We know with their receivers, they had to score, you know, and we felt like we could score too, even though two good defenses were out there. And it was a game where there were a lot of errors, but it was really an exciting ball game.
Jefferson and Lofton on the outside, two great wide receivers. Your plan coming into the game to stop them, Coach?
Yeah, we tried to stop them. We doubled them up a lot in the first half, and then they started getting away on the runs a little bit on us. And then the second half, they came out and did a great job. They changed the tempo of the game. They came in their wide receivers in there, and we didn't adjust quick enough, I didn't think, to our 4-0 defense. And when we did, then we slowed them down a little bit.
Coach, congratulations on another big win.
Appreciate it.
We got a rookie, #1 draft choice from Kentucky State, Rod Hill, who broke off a kick return for a big play to get your club started. Rod, I guess it's one of the many big plays you expect to make here, eh?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm a #1 draft pick, and that's my job to play football, and I'm glad I got a chance to do it this playoff game.
Do you feel pressure as a #1 draft choice coming to the Dallas Cowboys? Do you expect to step in that lineup and perform right away?
Well, you know, before the draft, I talked to the Cowboys, and I knew what my situation would be once I got here, and that was to learn, you know, take it by, you know, ear. And I did that, and, you know, fortunately, it came down to my turn to play, and I did the job.
Rod, tell me about the big kickoff return.
Well, you know, on the first kickoff, I noticed there was an opening, but I kind of slipped to the left, so I said, I'm going to take this one straight to the right. And that's what I did. I had good blocking, and, you know, fortunately, I got down to the 9-yard line. I think the guy dived and got me, but that helped us out.
All right, congratulations,
Can I say hello to my mother?
Go ahead.
Hello, my grandma.
All right, let's go back to Brent Musburger.
All right, Irv, thank you. You have to be happy for that young man, because a week ago against Tampa Bay, he was burned, taken out of the lineup. His replacement of the nickel, Monty Hunter, ran in that big interception on Doug Williams. We're going to take a look at the weekend, set the stage around the NFL when we continue on the NFL Today on CBS